Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy.
Kyle Amundsen.
And we have Steve Bolin in the house today.
Bolster.
God damn it. I knew I was going to fuck it up. I didn't even try.
You want to do that again?
No, Bolin's good.
It works.
Bolster. I even tried. I knew it was bowl and stir. Bolster. How hard is that? I was like,
Apparently,
I like Bolin
harder than it looks.
Yeah. So how are you, Steve?
I'm doing good.
Good, man. So I guess I've known you pretty much ever since this place opened up. That's kind of how we met. You and your lovely, tiny little wife, Deb, come in all the time.
Yeah, I've lived in the Brainerd area since fall of 2011.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. You are kind of a transplant here.
Yeah. Yep.
Which, by our local standards, makes you a new arrival.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're shooting this just in the last week of June here. But we're coming up on kind of an important anniversary for you. And that's kind of why I wanted to have you on. There's something that sets you apart from Kyle and I, and it's not just your lovely hair.
It sets me apart from pretty much the whole town.
Yeah, I don't know that many pirates, actually. Nope. Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. I've not seen another person wearing an eye patch in all of Brainerd Baxter.
Really? I don't think I know.
People usually opt for the prosthetic.
Well, we'll explain. Or Steve will explain why you don't have a prosthetic. Prosthetic. Is that the right word?
Yes.
The glass ball. So, pirates. Just wanted to quickly do a side note about pirates, though.
Speaking of pirates,
back in the day, when I had the Eclectic Cafe, we used to do a lot of theme parties, and we would do this pirate pub crawl every once in a while. And one time we were having this pirate pub crawl, and this fucking amazing band. What was it? Nubius? Fuck. Can't remember. But anyway, they were playing Niobe. That's what it was. Band Niobe they were playing. And this guy comes in a fucking stellar fucking pirate outfit with a peg leg. And we were like, what the fuck?
Way to sell out to pull off that costume.
We knew the guy. He'd come in fairly often. Didn't know, he wasn't a regular. We didn't know his name, but but he had a fucking peg leg. He didn't have a peg leg yesterday. We were what the fuck? So finally, I'm just I just gotta go ask him. So I'll go over there and I'm like, hey, dude, how'd you get the peg leg? And he's like, funny story. And he got a blue off in Iraq, and he had a prosthetic, and then the guy who fits his prosthetic asked him if he wanted to make him a peg leg, and he's like, you fucking right I do. So it was a great peg leg, wooden with fucking little brass things, a pirate peg leg,
legit.
And he was like, I win every fucking costume party I go to. And I was like thank you for your service, bro.
Absolutely.
It was pretty cool. So you obviously cut your eyeball out to get yourself a good costume.
Yep. I needed to be famous, so I just took it right out. No, so yeah, we're coming up on 2 years now. The 4th of July, exactly on the 4th.
Yeah.
And do you want to know the whole?
Yeah, man, I want the nitty gritty. I've heard the story quite a few times, but Kyle never has. It's such an interesting story.
Matt told me this is a fucking great story.
I know.
So I'm like, okay.
To be an outside observer, it's a great story. To be the one in the middle, it kind of sucked.
I would imagine.
So yeah, just normal 4th of July. So my wife's cousin's daughter lives up on Pelican Lake, and they've got a nice, beautiful house up there. And every year they do fireworks. They do the whole big spread. I mean, thousands of dollars in fireworks spread out all the beach, and we'd fire them all off. And we've been doing this for a few years, going up there. And my brother and his wife and their 2 kids were up for the weekend. We were out on the pontoon enjoying the day. We decided, let's go over there. Kind of on a whim. We get there, and of course, enjoying the day. And there's a lot of people, probably 20, 30 people. And it's starting to get dark, so we start bringing all the fireworks down. And this year, so the guy that lives there, we got a lot of those great big blocks, shoot 25 off. They'll screw them to a piece of plywood, had 4 of them, and he had long fuses connecting them all together. And where there's tubes with the big mortars, and all the stuff is all connected together. And we're laying it all out on the beach, and I was digging stuff in the sand, getting it all angled away, and it was just a huge spread. And we're all excited, ready to go. And there's names even on the boards. I didn't expect that, but I was the 3rd guy. They're like, he goes, then you go, and whatever, right?
So it was like it was not a professional setup, but it was more than just an amateur setup. I mean, the guy kind of knew what he was doing and
took a lot of steps to try to make it as safe as we could, but obviously we were able to work around that.
We found a hole in the plan.
So what had ended up happening is the guy was next to me. He was supposed to go first. Well, the neighbor was shooting a bunch of stuff off too, and we were kind of waiting for them to be done. And it seemed like they were done. We're getting ready to go, and all of a sudden, their neighbor shoots them off again. Is like, hold on. So then the guy standing next to me comes walking over and goes, hey, mine doesn't have a fuse hooking them all together. I'm like, really? Mine did, because I was the third guy. And I said, don't worry. I said, I'll help you. We'll get this thing going. Well, those blocks, those 25-shot blocks, there's 4 of them on a board, and they got those tiny little fuses on them. So we both have a lighter, and I'm like, I'll start one, and he goes, we'll do the outside, we'll get to the middle, we'll get this whole thing going. It's going to be great. We'll get this show off because everybody's there, and it's going to be a good show. So I get the first one going. He does his. I go to the middle, and the wind blew my clicker out. And I'm just clicking away. And my brain should have been going, this is taking a little longer than it should. But and the guy comes over, he's like, did you get it? And he was like, we should go. And I just, all of a sudden, one more, I said, I can get it. So I'm reaching in, and as soon as you see the sparks, I stood up. Well, the one next to me was the outside row, had an angle on it. And as I stood up, one went off, and it hit me square in the eye. I think it bounced off my eyebrow. And all I remember is a super, super bright light, like somebody was holding a flashlight right up to your eye.
Yeah.
And incredible pain, obviously. And I'm like, son of a bitch. And you're just going, no, this didn't just happen, right? So you're trying to process what happened. I'm like, there's another one coming. I better go. So I ran, and I just hit the ground and put my hands over my face, and this guy comes running over. And here I find out, he said I was still there was stuff burning yet.
Yeah, you were still on fire, right? He
grabbed sand and threw it on my head. And I'm laying there thinking I could feel stuff running down my hand. And I assume my eye blew out, and it's the eye juice running down my arm. So I'm sitting with my hands over my face, and I'm laying there going, well, there's a lot of people that only have one eye. So then he grabs me and picks me up, and he goes, are you all right? I said, I think I lost my eye. He goes, what? I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure my eye's gone.
And you're still clamped? You still have your
I have my hand
over
my face. And that's exactly how I said it. He's like, what? He goes, what do you need, like a towel or ice? I said, you should probably grab a towel. And he goes, do we need to go to the hospital? I said, yeah, we should go. So,
I mean, unless you got a spare or something.
Everybody comes running over, and they're like, what do we need? Should we drive it? I'm like, you should probably call an ambulance. Well, we're down by the lake, and it's probably 100 feet back up to where everybody else is. So I got a towel shoved on my face, and we got to go walking back up through, and my wife and everybody's up there. And there's a bunch of kids up there, too, so I'm a little concerned. So we go walking up, and I got this thing in my head.
You don't want to, fuck these kids up for life?
Yeah, and I just want to get through, because we got to go around the other side of the house is where the driveway is, where the ambulance is going to come. So we get up there, and right away, Deb kind of meets me, and she's like, oh, my God, what happened? I said, I think my eye's gone. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. So I kept walking because I needed to get away from everybody.
And Deb, like I said, I've heard the story a few times as you guys were talking about it here at the bar. And Deb, she says that you were just like that, dead calm. You weren't freaking out. You were just like, yeah, no, I think my eye's gone.
Yep.
I hope the ambulance will be here soon. You were like
so then, we get around the other side of the house, and some guy shows up, and he's like, I'm a first responder. He goes, can I help? And apparently one of the guys that lived right next door was a first responder, saw the commotion or saw something, and came running over. So he was there right away. So we're standing, and somebody opened the back of their car while we're waiting for the ambulance for me to kind of sit, because I was starting to then at that point getting a little jittery and freaking out a little bit, but wasn't quite exactly sure how bad this really was. And he goes, let me take a look at it. He had a flashlight. He goes, pull it away. And as I did, I happened to see Deb stand there, and all I saw is her go, oh, my God, and she grabbed her face and turned away. And I'm like, ooh, that's not good.
That's a good sign. Good sign.
And the reason she said that is because I was black basically from my forehead down to my chin, from the soot and the burn, and there was blood running out of my eye. And she said it looked like my face was melted on one side. So she had no idea. She thought that was this horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah.
Right? And it wasn't good. But so then...
No, but because there's kind of a lack of, I mean, I see a little bit of...
Yeah, there's some...
But overall, sunglasses.
Right.
You would never tell about you'd had this injury if you had fucking sunglasses on.
Right.
Yeah.
So I had...
But what she saw was...
This black, right after it happened, yeah.
Man.
So it wasn't my eye juice running down my arm, it was blood. So it had burned my hair on top, it burned my eyebrow off, and my lashes were... my eye was swollen shut, huge, and you couldn't even open it. So I could still hear the fireworks going. I'm like, dude, the cops are coming because of the ambulance. I said, you shouldn't have the fireworks because I'm worried that they're going to get in trouble now for having fireworks. So then the ambulance comes, and we hop in the ambulance, and I'm like, hold on. I said, my brother's here. Somebody needs to tell him that my truck is sitting out there, and I got my keys on the dash. He can drive that back to the house, and then he can just meet us at the hospital or whatever. And they're like, what? And I'm like, trying to tell everybody what we need to do here before we leave.
Yeah, and again, you're thinking very rationally.
Some people like lose their shit, but like some people just get real calm, cool, and collected and shit, and
right.
I mean,
and I didn't know that that's how I was gonna be. Obviously, and one of my flops flew off. I apparently lost that in the whole commotion. So I'm like, somebody should find my shoes, So we go to Brainerd Hospital, and we get there, and it's just a lot of commotion. And there's people everywhere, and they're trying to figure everything out. And at one point, the doctor comes over, he's like, give me a scissors. And I'm like, for what? He goes, I'm going to cut your shirt off. And it was this shirt, actually.
Oh, yeah, sweet.
And I said, dude, that's my favorite shirt. You can't cut it. He goes, what?
Besides, what did the shirt do?
Right. And I'm like, I'll take it off. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, don't cut my shirt. I said, I love this shirt.
That's a classic. That is like one of the very first 9th Street Social Club shirts.
Yeah. So I'm like, no, you can't cut my shirt. He's like, all right, fine. So he helps me. We take it off, and it didn't take very long, and pretty soon they're like, I think we had to do a scan on head trauma scan or something. I didn't even know how long we were there. And then he comes over and he goes, just to be honest.
Fucking doctors stored that away right there. Like, okay, I can say on the upside, we saved your shirt.
Exactly. So then also he comes up, he goes, I gotta be honest.
I got some good news for you, and I got some bad news for you. Your shirt's fine. Your eye fucked, by the way. Yeah, but your shirt's fine.
So he goes, just so you know, he goes, it's not good. I'm like, well, okay.
Duh.
He goes, and we can't deal with you here, so we've already got you accepted at HCMC, and you're going by helicopter. And I looked at him, I said, I can't afford a goddamn helicopter. My wife's standing there, she's like, just shut up, we have insurance, just do whatever you need to do. And this was 2 weeks after they crashed out at the airport.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, then he leaves and comes back just a couple minutes later and goes, well, because of fog, the helicopter's grounded, you're going by ambulance. I'm like, all right.
I don't exactly know the statistics, but those helicopter rides, they're dangerous. They can definitely be dangerous.
We actually have a very good friend of ours lives just down the road. He lost his leg in a helicopter crash because he was a medic.
Yep.
Different one than the Hutch one. He was the only survivor of that. Has his arms messed. It really took its toll on him. But I mean, he's like, you gotta trust helicopters. They're safe. Don't worry about it. But I'm like,
yeah. I mean, I've been in one, but it's fun. But.
Can I hum the theme to Airwolf the whole way?
So they load me up in this ambulance, and we go screaming out of town, and basically lights and sirens the whole way, which is annoying as hell, that sound.
Yeah,
but
you're like, dude, I got a fucking headache now.
Yeah,
too.
so the guy just goes, they hooked me up with an IV right away, and he goes, let me know, morphine and fentanyl, I think is what they had. He goes, if you need a hit, let me know. And I'm like, all right, can I sleep? And he goes, you can try. So I'm laying there, and everything's pretty numb at that point. It hurt, and every once in a while the pain would start to go up, and he'd shoot something in the IV. Well, then it didn't take us very long to get to Minneapolis. A little over an hour.
Which is amazing, because I was going to say, like, that would, even for an ambulance, the height of tourist season like that,
right.
Because
Oh, yeah,
in case you're not from the area, I'll tell you something about tourist season here. Yeah, they don't so much pull over for shit like ambulances, fire trucks.
Well, Kyle,
cop cars
they got shit to do.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they got to get to the cabin.
Take it easy. I'm taking a left right up here in 2 miles.
The good thing, though, it was like 10 at night or 11 at night.
Fair
so
enough.
It was better. And we're going the other way. We're going in instead of out. But yeah, so we finally get there. And if you don't, there's a reason they have straps on those gurneys, because if you don't have them, you'll pop right out of the damn bed. Because it is the bumpiest freaking ride I've ever been in. And I told the guy, I'm like, dude, your parking lot is really bumpy. And he's like, what parking lot? I didn't know where the hell we were. But I was envisioning like a local hospital here where they pull in the parking lot, drive around. It's like, no, you come right off the road into the building, and there's no parking lots. And it's just all the construction down in the cities. It'd buck you right out of that thing if they weren't tied in. So we get there, and then they all rush in, and this guy comes up to me, and he goes, this is going to hurt. And he had these 2 stainless steel, looked like spoons that were curved, and he shoved them in, and he pulled my eye open so they could look at it.
What is that? Is it a speculum or something?
But they had
like
2
that?
of them.
What
They're
is
like 2 spoons. There wasn't like a gripper. He had like one in each hand, and he just went and he yanked it open. And he was right. It hurt.
he was not lying.
No, that was bad. And then they go,
can I get some more of that fentanyl, please?
right. So this was, and I don't even know who was all there. I know Deb was there. She rode an ambulance with him down, and then my son actually showed up down there. A bunch of people just kind of randomly came. But then they're like, you need to go have surgery. We need to do something with that eye. And we need to look at it and see if it needs to be cleaned out or what's going on here. I'm like, all right. So we get all prepped up. And at this point, whatever they gave me is working pretty good. And the burns were like 3rd degree, so they didn't really hurt.
So I'm always confused about this. Is it like murder? Like the lower the degree, the worse the burn?
The higher the number, the worse the burn. So 1st degree is like a sunburn.
Okay.
3rd degree is like it goes way in.
So it's opposite of murder. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
1st degree murder is the bad one.
Right.
2nd degree is not so bad. 3rd degree,
Right.
you basically just let them die.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're like, okay, we're gonna have surgery. So they get me all prepped for that, and we go in. And when I came out, they said basically when they looked at my eye, they had to cut the outside so they could get it to open further. They said my whole eye looked like it was painted gray. So the burn, I had thermal and chemical burns on the surface of my eye, and I had like big black onto my cheek, out the corner of my eye, these big black holes almost that were burned in, and up by my eyebrow and down in. I had some pits in my cheek
From gunpowder.
from gunpowder. Because basically, if you ever watch one of those go, you see that little spray come out at the bottom. Well, that spray went right into my face.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of gunpowder burns, and they're like dirty and
like pits. Like
yeah.
somebody shot you with a shotgun. You got these holes all over the place, and they're black. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and gunpowder in and of itself is dirty. So
Mhm.
like,
Oh, right, yeah.
it's all that shit's inside your
Right.
Ugh.
Right.
Grody.
So they got that all cleaned up and they scrubbed it all and it was okay, but I ended up spending the night, and every time I had to get up to use the bath. And the nice thing was because it was just my face, I still was able to have normal food.
Right.
I didn't have any really restrictions on anything. But I go to the bathroom, I wouldn't look in the mirror because I was afraid. And a lot of people came in, oh my God, it doesn't look all that bad. And of course, Deb said it didn't look bad because she saw it right after it happened.
Right.
And is imagining
By
the worst,
comparison,
right?
it looks fucking amazing.
Right. So, and that made me feel better when she said, "Oh my God, it's not near as bad as I
totally
thought."
thought you looked like the toxic Avenger, and now you're just ugly.
So
Yeah.
I really had a hard time getting myself to look in the mirror. So I'd go into the bathroom and I just would avoid it at all costs until like a day and a half after. I actually went in on a Thursday night at midnight, whatever it was, and by Sunday afternoon I was home. But the first time I looked at it, I just kind of did a quick peek like that, and I thought, "Oh fuck, God!" And I
And the mirror super swollen too.
and all burned up, and gauze on my face. Of course, it was all stuck to it, and they'd always pull it off, and I could see all the black crap on it. So every time you pull the gauze off, I could see it, and then they put new stuff on, and I was like, "That's not good." And yeah, it was not fun. And then as I would lay down, and I'd keep every time I closed my eyes, like to try to sleep, I'd see that bright flash again, just over and over and over again. And it's hard. It was hard to get past it. It's like I don't even know how to explain it.
Well, I mean, I can kind of explain it because it's part of what I do with in my day job. But it's a trauma response. So
Right.
you had this traumatic event, and then that traumatic event just will continue to replay. Because it just is. And you might even in the future like have triggers where
Yep.
like you hear a loud explosion, somebody lets off a fucking firework, and you're like, shit, yeah. And then, but typically that will like go away in time. It's only when people like are in a situation where they repetitively have that same fucking trauma over and over again, like war is a good example.
Right.
And then that continues, and that's what causes PTSD. How's that? I'm a doctor.
It makes sense. And the weird thing was about this whole thing is I felt really bad about it. So while I was in the hospital, Nate Smokey, I don't know if you know him, he's a cop in town. He came in and he's asking me these questions while I was still in Brainerd before I got sent to the cities. And he's like, all right, he goes, do you know what happened? He kind of tried to check out, make sure I didn't have like, they want to check for concussion right away.
And you were like,
and he's like,
snitches
so,
get stitches. I ain't saying
so
shit.
where did you get the fireworks? I'm like, he goes, so who bought the fireworks? And I get it, it's his job. And I'm like, I don't know. Because I don't know for sure who gave the money to the guy.
Right.
And he goes, so they weren't yours and you didn't buy them? I said, no. And then he wanted to take a picture. And I said, dude, you're not going to put that in the paper, right? Because I don't know. I don't know nothing about how the police stuff works.
Sure.
And he's like, no, it's just for our file. So he had to take a quick close-up. But then some of the people that were there came and visited me at home a few days later, and I was so nervous to see him because I felt so bad that I'd ruined their party, right? And that's exactly how I felt. So as soon as they showed up, the first thing all I could do was just apologize. And they're like, "Stop it! You don't need to apologize." You know, they felt bad, but it felt like it was my fault that it happened, and I ruined everybody's weekend.
Oh man!
And I don't know, it was weird.
So up till this point, you just get home. You still haven't been able to it's nothing but black on that side, right?
Yeah, and it's swollen shut tight. You know, it's really puffy and so on. So I don't really know at this point how bad it really is.
But you couldn't see light or anything yet.
Well, I could see light when when they pulled it open. They're like, "Can you see how many fingers do I have up?" And I'm like, "I don't know, it's bright." But yeah, I couldn't see anything. And then they peeled that off, and then it was trying to heal. So then, yeah, well, right away, and then my neighbors. I mean, I got the best friggin' neighbors ever. Chad, Amy, Price. So Chad comes over and he starts mowing my lawn for me because I don't want to come out of the house. I'm all bandaged up, and he's out there mowing the lawn. I'm like, "Dude, you don't have to do that. We can figure it." He's
actually
like,
didn't know.
I'll do it. You do it for me. And I'm like,
I
"You're
never
right."
heard this part, Steve. You're going deep. I like it.
No, do you
That's
want
good.
to?
I want it all the way.
All right.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
went all the way to the
So-
subcockle region.
So, and they were the first ones to come over, and I was really worried about how people were going to see me because I didn't like it. It was bad. I didn't like to see it. And I'm like, nobody wants to see this mess. And they're like, "No, it's not that big of a deal." I'm like, it's kind of to me it is. I get what you're saying.
Right.
But so then there was a lot of ointments and medications and stuff that I had to put on, and I had to go to the cities twice a week for a little over, probably close to 2 months for burn treatment and then to check out my eye. So I'd go to HCMC and they do the eye stuff, and then right across the street from them was a burn place. So I try to coordinate the same day, and I can't drive obviously, so I need.
Oh, you still can't drive at this point,
right? Within I didn't drive for probably a month.
So when did you find out that the eye that was damaged was your dominant eye?
Well, I knew that right away. I mean, I know my right eye is my dominant eye.
How did you know that?
I just always from shooting and whatever. I just know
I
it.
suppose from shooting.
Everything's right-handed, you know. I was a big pheasant hunter. I love to go shoot my shotgun, but it's a lot harder.
So
now.
typically, if you're right-handed, is your right eye your dominant eye?
Typically, yeah. Not everybody is that way. There are people that are not, and what they'll do is if you're a shooter and they'll put a piece of tape, like Scotch tape, over their left lens of their their glasses, to force their other eye to be their dominant eye.
So when I shoot, I never close. I never close my left eye like a lot of people close their left eye. And I mean, I guess when I learned to shoot, my father taught me, and he really wanted to be a cowboy. So he taught me I shot a Colt revolver, and he was always quick drawing and shit, and it was cool. But he was always like, "Yeah, keep both eyes open because you want to be aware of your surroundings. You don't know how many bad guys." 5 years old, I was learning to shoot, and he was talking about you needed situational awareness so you could kill all the bad guys. He was pretty cool, Dad. Anyway, but then if I close my my left eye when I try to shoot, I can't fucking shoot at all.
Really?
No.
That's interesting.
So I actually think I might be left eye dominant.
Do you ever shoot a rifle?
Yeah.
Or only if you
shoot a
keep
rifle,
both
yeah.
eyes open?
Always. Keep
Then
both eyes
you're
open.
probably right eye, because when you're holding a rifle and you're looking down, I mean, your eyes lined up right in the sights.
That makes sense.
So-
That makes sense.
so-
Maybe
and-
it's just
and-
I can't do it because I've never done it.
And
It's really
here's
heavy.
why I really think that, because I had never closed an eye when I shoot, right? Either like a rifle or a shotgun or anything like that. Well, I thought, well, then what's the difference now that I don't have this other? I still look, right? So I had my BB gun out while the woodpecker was pecking on the house.
Hey, now.
And I missed him by 4 feet, so it's
On purpose.
Yep. I just wanted to chase him away. And
We don't want to start telling DNR stories.
So then I was goofing around out in the woods. I'm like, okay, there's a tree right there. Let me see if I can shoot this tree just by how I normally would do it. And it went way across. And it's because while you're looking, now this eye's going and the sight's here, so you're crisscrossing. So it got really bad.
It's losing your depth.
Well, in driving like that, do you remember that enormous fucking black eye that I had a few? I fought those kids out in fucking Motley, and I wound up with that big ass shiner.
How long ago?
3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like
maybe.
that.
I don't know.
But by the time I got in the car, I was like, I need to hurry up because this shit's swelling shut. I didn't get to the end of the fucking driveway and bleep, done. And holy shit, okay, you can like if you close your eyes and fucking drive like that for a little bit, but like a whole drive, like making turns and shit like that, like stopping at the right place at a fucking stoplight and shit. Like driving with one eye is fucking hard.
Well, I was telling Steve, though, I don't know how long ago, it was a couple months ago, but I scratched my cornea. So we pretty much are like the same,
right?
Yeah,
right.
It's the same level.
That's I was like, do I mention the fucking big black eye?
Yeah, right. I know exactly.
It
what
sucked. You have no idea.
But
well, maybe you have a little idea.
I was doing jujitsu and I just scratched my cornea, and it happens every once in a while. Well, it's the first time it happened to me though, and it's super fucking painful. But I had to wear a patch over. I had to wear like a big patch over it, and I went to get coffee. And I get my coffee and. It's during the COVID, so I can't just give them my coffee cup to fill. I have to they give me a paper cup and I have to pour it in my coffee cup, which I don't understand that regulation anymore. I mean, but whatever. So I go to pour my coffee into my coffee cup and I fucking pour it on my hand. I miss my goddamn coffee cup and it's fucking hot. And then I'm jumping around and all pissed. I pour it all over my fucking hand and I was like, I don't know how you fucking do it. I can't.
The challenges are real. Yes.
Yeah.
Just that
but that makes sense.
My vision was a little screwed up when my eye did open up, and just that, just dealing with that for a few days, just pissed me off all the time. I was salty. It sucked, but man, I can't even fucking imagine. I mean, and so what was the pain like that whole time? I imagine, of course, they gave you stuff, but
they, honestly, by the time I went home from the hospital after a day and a half, all I was doing is taking Tylenol every couple hours.
Really?
Yep.
Which is good because that'd be a pretty easy injury to get addicted.
Right. Yep.
Addicted to fucking opioids.
I really had no idea that this wasn't just gonna heal itself and I'm gonna be able to see again, right? So I'm still thinking, this is just it's mostly just swollen and it's. Because they didn't have to obviously didn't take my eye thing. They're like, they just said the surface was burned. And I'm like, well, will it heal? I don't know. So maybe it will. And I could see light when they did it. So I'm like, well, that's why I couldn't see because it was all burned, but maybe it'll heal. So I'm going through all these different things. And it takes quite a while for it the swelling to go down enough that I could actually open it a little bit and peek out.
Yeah.
And I get light feedback right away. So I'm like, well, that's a good sign. So
and eyes are supposed to, I guess, heal really fast.
Yep. Yeah, eyes in your mouth. Those are the two.
I got when I got that chunk taken out of my cornea, I was actually playing basketball with one of your coworkers. There's some aggressive rebounding. But
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it wasn't Rena. But they told me the eyeballs heal super fast.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
What I learned about it is the shiny part of your eye is basically what was burned. That they peeled that off, and so I thought, well, maybe it'll just all grow back. Well, what I didn't understand is there's stem cells that make up all that stuff, and it's different stem cells over the colored part of your eye than it is over the white part of your eye. And I wasn't, and this was really confusing to me for a long time, because they're like, well, your stem cells are all bad, but they might grow back. So I'm going in and they're doing these different things and they're like, okay, well, we're going to try this surgery where they take amniotic, which is what they get from
amniotic stem cells. So it's like what they get from embryos.
Yep.
Yep.
I think it's the placenta they use. Yep. They harvest it
from the placenta. Yeah.
Yep. So they're like, okay, well, there's a thin mesh of it. Basically, we want to lay it over to your eye to help encourage the growth and the regrowth. Because if there's any stem cells still in there, they could start to go and they'll start to grow back, and it'll start to close back up over my cornea. Well, how they do this is it's a disc about the size of a quarter that's curved, and it's a ring and in the center of it has that material. Well, they got to stick that in there, which. That sucked. So they,
but with a burn, how do they know? I mean, I suppose
what they're hoping for is hoping that there are still living stem cells in there that know what to do.
And I was just wondering, how exactly they would center it.
They just set it over your eyes. So the mesh just kind of lays.
Well, I mean, so I guess the pupil is still there.
Yep. Yeah. All the
for them to work with.
Everything's there. It's just a really thin layer of the surface is gone. Right. So it's all still normal.
So they're basically putting Miracle Grow on it, and they're hoping that there's enough stem cells left in there to know what to do to start replicating themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So they just want to hold it over and let it absorb into your eye. So there's two of them yanking and pulling on my eye to try to shove this thing in because with the trauma.
Were you awake for that?
Oh yeah, I was sitting in a chair and
What the fuck? Did you have an option? Holy shit.
They put drops in to numb it.
Oh, thanks, brah.
See, I can't.
Fuck me.
I can't even I'm bad at giving putting eye drops in. I could never put contacts in because I can't even touch my.
No.
I'm a fucking huge baby like that.
Oh, it gets a lot worse.
Yeah, my eyes are already watering.
So they finally
We should have done a trigger.
they finally forced this thing in, and it's there, and it hurts. My eyelid doesn't really even go over the top of it; it's just kind of in there.
So it's like they put a quarter in your eye, kind
A
of.
plastic ring with this mesh in the middle. Yes, in there, and I'm like, God damn it, it hurts, and it's like getting something in your eye that you can't do anything about.
Yeah.
You just got to do. And sometimes if you don't move, and you're like, oh, right there, it doesn't hurt. But if I look, and it just.
And it's impossible to get your eye to stop moving.
It is. It's really, really hard. So we're sitting at the place, and they're like, just take some time and make sure you can tolerate this. And then, but you really should do it because it's really important for this to help the healing. And I'm like, oh. So we're sitting. I'm like, screw it. Let's just go home. So Deb
And they leave it in.
Yeah, oh yeah. I have to leave it in for a couple days, and then they'll take it out and see if it worked. Up to 5 days, I think they wanted it in there.
Could you even fall asleep with that shit?
Oh my god! And I had to learn to sleep through pain. So that was an interesting aspect of all this. So I get home and I'm like, God damn it, this fucking thing! It just hurt, and eventually I just laid down. And you get so tired you fall asleep. It doesn't matter. You roll and wake up because it hurts. Well, I get up in the morning and there's this thing hanging out of my eye on my cheek. I'm like, what the hell?
No.
The mesh came off. So there's like a ring with like a rubber band around, kind of to hold it in, stretched in place, and that thing popped out. And this thing just hanging out of my cheek. And I'm like, well, that sucks.
Jesus Christ.
Son of.
So I call them, and they did it down in Minneapolis. So I'm like, well, what the hell am I going to do now? I said, this doesn't work. I took a picture, and I sent it to the doctor. They're like, yeah, that fell apart. I'm like, no shit. So I'm like, well, now what am I going to do? So then I find out there's
I'm a bit of a scientist myself.
So I call the eye doctor in town, and I find one. I'm like, can you take this thing out of my eye? Because you got to pull this plastic disc out now because it friggin' hurts, and it's not doing anything because the thing fell off. So I go there, and I'm not sure if they can try to fix it or something. It's still just kind of hanging out. It's like, keep it moist. So I get this ointment I'm putting on it. Goddamn. So I get somebody to drive me to the doctor.
And he
this
comes still
in.
isn't pleasant, right?
This hurts bad.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I thought.
So we're standing. We get to the doctor, and he finally comes in, and he just takes the tweezers and he just pulls that mesh right out. He's like, "Yeah, this is bad." He whips it in the garbage. I'm like, "Well, apparently we're not going to reuse that." And then
I'm sure that thing was cheap.
He's like, "All right, hold still," and he somehow grabs it. He yanks that thing out. And when he was done, I thought it maybe slipped and it was still in there because it hurt so damn bad. And he's holding it. He's like, yeah, this didn't work very good, did it? I'm like, I just got to leave here. I can't deal with you talking to me like this. So thank God they get that out. So then my doctor goes, well, come back and let's do surgery and we'll sew it to your eye.
This keeps getting better.
Oh, yeah. So
have you considered staples or possibly a tack?
Oh, this was another one of the worst surgeries ever. So they're like, oh, you just come in and we'll just knock you out a little bit, and you're not full under. You don't have to have the tube down your throat or nothing. You're just like a general, and or whatever the hell they call it. And then so we go in, and you can't eat for whatever, so you don't get sick while they're doing it. So they end up doing this, and while I'm under, they start bringing you back, but they didn't bring me back. They weren't done yet, and they're sewing my eyelid to my cheek, showing my eye shut. And he's still putting stitches through my cheek and pulling it out. And I'm like, son of a bitch, why am I awake? And he's like, stop moving. I'm like, God damn it.
Stop moving.
And I'm
fuck yourself.
And I'm like,
stop moving.
Can we get a couple guys in here to hold this fucker down?
And I'm just like shaking like this. He goes, shaking doesn't help. I'm like, well, why the fuck am I awake? You know, this hurts. So he's still
shaking doesn't help because that's what I was doing. I was shaking on purpose.
I was
shaking on
just
purpose.
trying to fuck this up.
So he's like, I have one more. So
I'm about to turn into the Hulk.
Oh my God, that was the most. And then the worst of it is because my eyelid was so jacked with this whole thing, the scar tissue, it would start to retract. So they'd pull it down and sew it shut, and then as it's healing, it'll start to retract. So now the stitches are pulling, and they eventually will rip out. So it's
no peeking.
Yeah. All of a sudden you wake up and there's like, you can see the middle of your eye and the stitches are all stretched out. Well, so what they do is they take these little tiny plastic tubes and they run the string through the tube so that the tube doesn't pull through your skin. So they run the stitch through and tie it to the tube. Well, the stuff on because your eyelid is so thin and delicate, it'll just rip out, and then those damn things are hanging on your cheek. So they're supposed to leave it sewn shut for a week, and after like 2 days, the stitches are pulling out, and they're so painful. And you gotta sleep like that too. I mean, so I've had since that surgery.
So are they even like taping your eyes shut at this point, or is that?
No, well, no, not at that one. So then once I finally they realized that it stayed in for a few days. And eventually they ended up having it kind of dissolved itself away. So they would look at it, and I'd go in, and they're like, oh, your eye's like 25%. It's starting to grow back. Things are looking good. And it's 25% or it's 30%. And all of a sudden one day they're like, yeah, it's not working. I'm like, what? So she's like, yeah, I don't think it's going to work. So maybe we should talk about prosthetic eyes. And I'm like, wait a minute. Last time I was here, it was 30% or almost 50%. You told me. Now today you're like, yeah, it's not going to work. Maybe you want to get rid of your eye. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, that was a hell of a day.
I mean, if that was the case, maybe we could have done it before you fucking sewed my eye shut and put me through all that pain.
And even then, I'm like just trying to process what they're telling me. So my brother-in-law had brought me there that day because I needed somebody to help drive, and Deb didn't have a lot of vacation, so people would have to help get me. And at this point, I had to work too.
Right. So I wanted to talk about that, but I don't want to fuck up the contour of the story. But like during this entire time, you're still running your business, and like it's obviously super cheap to just be zipping back and forth to the cities all the time. And
right. Yeah.
Like,
so I'm working for a company out of the cities. I'm working from home. I have a side business, but that's really kind of being put on hold because of this. It wasn't that big of a deal. But my normal jobs, I'm a software developer, so I sit in front of a computer all day, every day. And like I said, this happened like on a Thursday, but by Wednesday, I was back trying to work part days because I had gotten kind of screwed into this thing where they made me a contractor. And if I don't work, I don't get paid. I have no vacation. So I'm like, well, shit, I gotta work.
Right.
So trying to work I had to dim my computer way down because my other eye got a little bit burned too. They looked at it and they said there's a couple little flakes in there.
Oh yeah,
but it was almost maybe like a welder's burn a little bit.
Which is super painful.
And it was struggling, and the fatigue. To stare at the computer all day was a really difficult thing,
and
especially early on.
And you only got one eye.
Yeah,
like so. So that's having to do a lot more work.
Right. So I worked partial days, and my boss and everybody I worked with was very flexible about that. They had great people to work for. And they're like, don't worry, if you need to take the time you need. And I had a coordinator. I just let them know.
But you still don't get paid.
Right,
like,
exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're it's just the nature of the beast.
Yep. And you can only work so many hours. It's not like I could work extra hours because my freaking eye hurts. It's hard to even look at the computer. So it was 3-4 hours at a time was about all I could do. And so then I had to coordinate drives back and forth. So we're down there, sitting there, me and my brother-in-law, when this lady tells me that my eye is not going to get better. And I'm just like...
Which I keep thinking, like, what's the timetable? Like, from when...
This was probably late August. So maybe 5-6 weeks after.
Man, because, like, I keep thinking about how I am about, like, when I'm in pain. Even if I'm, like... If I spend too long, like, in the tattoo chair or something, I start to get grumpy.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole nother story.
And that's fucking, like... And that's just... I mean, that's like a tattoo on my arm or whatever, like, fuck.
I know.
I would be tough to be around after a while.
Huge baby too. Whenever I get into.
So even before that, so late July, we had some friends that were going to come up, and I'm like, I don't know if I want anybody to come over because I'm still not doing good. I got bandages and taking it off, and they gave me these little scrub brushes.
It's stressful. You're not sleeping worth a shit.
Yeah,
you're in pain.
But they're like, no, you got to have. And my wife pushed it a little bit, and I actually. Hindsight, I appreciate the fact that she did, and so these friends came up. They're really good friends of ours, that great people, and they're like, "We need to go out." And I'm like, "I don't want to go out. I don't want anybody to see me. I don't." Like we stopped and they bought this eye patch at like a Spencer Gifts or something, whatever the hell it was, just some random plastic thing or a party shop. And they're like, "We need to go out." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't know." And they're like, "Come on, we'll all do it. It'll be fine." And I'm looking at this stupid thing, and I put it on in the bathroom. I'm like, well, most of what there is being covered by it, and it's not real bad. Like, we're going down. And I really didn't have an option. So, like, we're coming. And we actually came here. And I'm like, we were sitting in the car in the parking lot. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this.
I think it was a Saturday night.
Yeah.
Because I was working that night.
And then I came and I sat in the corner, and I had them stand around me.
Yep.
So I was like in this bubble protected, and I saw Rob right away, and he was super happy that I was there. And just, and it made me feel a little bit better. But I needed these people around me to protect me because I was super conscientious about what I look like. And I didn't want the comments. I didn't want the questions. I didn't want anything. But it actually turned out to be a pretty decent night, and it kind of helped me get over that initial hump.
Well, yeah,
Cool.
I've always enjoyed your relationship. Deb you guys are just like a fucking fun ass couple. And it's unfortunate that you didn't get to meet Deb, Kyle, because she's she's almost a little person. I know you're never supposed to say, but I think you can when they're so small. 97 pounds. Is that what you said? Yeah, because she couldn't give blood because she didn't weigh 110 pounds. And she's like, you gotta be fucking shitting me. Like, could you just take a half a pint? They were like,
they let me do it by the gallon.
they're like, come here, buddy.
Come here, fatty.
You got an extra.
Hook him up.
You got an extra 5-gallon bucket in, you know what?
Like a spigot and shit.
But she's just a spitfire, and yeah. And I kind of remember as you were coming back in, and
she was great.
Yeah,
she was. Again, they always say she would come. Just being around her, she would encourage me to just don't worry about it when you're at home. It's fine. Because even at home, I didn't even want her to see. And I still, even to this day, I don't take my patch off until I shut the light off to go to bed.
Really?
Because I have a hard time. And she always says, you don't have to do that. It doesn't matter. You don't have to wear it at home. And I get that. But for me, mentally, I have a hard time with that. And it's been a really big struggle with this, because I was super depressed when they said your eye's not going to heal.
Right.
Might have to lose it. I'm like, that's bad. And I didn't. All of a sudden, it just all reality hit. Because you're thinking, that'll be fine. I may have some scars and some wounds, but it'll be all right. Nope, it's not going to be. So then, they start talking about, well, I have to do reconstructive surgery on my eyelid itself because part of the bottom burned off, and part of my lid was all tore up, and had this big notch.
And they keep pulling chunks out of it with stitches and shit.
Yeah, my eye wouldn't close, so then it dries out. So I'm constantly putting ointment in and trying to keep it covered because it needs it. Because of the burns, it doesn't produce as many tears as it's supposed to.
Oh,
it still does, but I'm not sure if it's quite enough yet to be able to support it. So part of this thing is they're like, okay, you need to talk to this lady. She's a great eye surgeon. She'll fix it up for you. And I still have a lot of confidence. Like, oh, great, she's gonna make it. Not plastic surgeon. You're not even be able to tell. Well, so those surgeries, I've had 3 or 4 of the reconstructive ones, and the first one was the worst. It was right before my birthday, actually, in December, after it happened, my big 50th. And because of the trauma to your eye, the surface of your eye on the inside underneath the lid, it actually fuses itself to the scar tissue grows, and it'll fuse your eye to the inside, and then it can't move.
Okay, if you guys are listening to this, you got to go on YouTube and just watch Kyle's face the entire time, because he's got this.
It's messed up.
It's fucking because I the only thing that I have to compare it to are like I said, like I was saying, like that one time I got my cornea scratched, or I've had the one really bad, but I've had some black eyes and stuff like that, where there was a little damage and shit.
I've had a few owies, but yeah, nothing. Yeah. It's hard to
it's just fucking hard to wrap my mind around, and then I keep thinking of how long did it take you to quit running into shit? And stuff like that. Like when you were talking about being here in the bar, just a crowd and shit. Like, okay, now I'm going to go to the bathroom. Let's see how many fucking people I run into on my way to the bathroom. It's just, fuck, man.
Yeah, that's a whole different. That's a very small piece of. That's the easy part, dealing with that, because when the eye is the way it was going, she's like, in order to fix that, we have to take skin from inside your mouth. It's very similar to what's around your eye.
Oh, yeah.
And she goes,
we'll
cut it loose and we'll stick skin in between your eye and the top so that it doesn't refuse itself, to kind of free things up so it moves a little better.
So wait a second. So they're thinking that they're going to put like a layer over the top of your eyeball, in between your eyeball and your eyelid?
Up above my eyeball, I think is where they're attaching it. So it's the pocket that your eye sits in was starting to fuse down onto the eye.
Right. Okay.
So they're going to cut that loose and then attach skin on the top of it from inside your the inside of your cheek.
Yep.
Right. So
yeah, it's like a skin graft.
Yep.
So they're taking the skin on the inside of your mouth, but they're doing it so that your eyeball doesn't attach to your eyelid.
So it doesn't reattach. Yeah.
Interesting. Reattach.
And then to build the eyelid, they take skin from right behind your ear, right, either in front of or behind it. So for that surgery, they did. They cut a piece of skin from behind my ear, and they took some from the side of my cheek and from right in front, right here. They cut about it felt like about a 1.5 inch chunk, but it's probably maybe like a 1/2 inch chunk. And the one on your cheek, they'll sew it shut, but the one in the front, they don't. So it's like having a cold sore.
Just having a big old canker sore in there?
Yeah.
Ow.
And then my ear hurt, right? So my eyes, obviously, and then they tape. So then they, this gets even better. So in order to keep the space between your lid and your eye, they take these plastic things they call conformers. They're like about the size of a quarter. They're like a disc. And they stick that in there, and then they pull your eyelid over it, and they sew it shut.
Oh.
So I got my eyelid sewn shut with 2 pieces of plastic
So
in
they
there.
can stretch out your eyelid.
Yeah, to help give
Well,
it space.
and then they're putting that's in between. That's on your eyeball, so it's like
Yep.
having a contact lens, kind of. So they,
Yep,
so
they're
it
thick.
can't. Yeah, like a thick. I don't mean like a quarter size contact lens, but I'm just trying to get this in my head. So then the eyelid, because what they really
Right.
don't want to do is they don't want that new.
They don't want the space to go away.
and they don't want to grow it back to your eyeball,
Right.
Because that's the
Yep.
real danger. Because then your eye, then you're
Right.
fucked. I think is what it really boils down to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they shove the plastic discs in, sew your eyelid shut. And they only put 2 stitches, one on each side. And then I got stitches behind my ear because they took skin from there. And I got this giant hole in front of my lip. And in my cheek, I got stitches. So I'm pretty messed up.
And at this point,
and then we're supposed to go to a surprise birthday party, like the next day, right? And I'm not very happy about this whole thing. But I want to go. It says, oh, it's a surprise birthday party for Amy. And I'm like, well, she's not even 50. She's only 49. But they're like,
Can I wait till next
Deb
year?
goes,
Fuck.
Deb goes, you have to go. I'm like, I'm in so much pain. I just don't want to go. I don't want to be around people. Like, this sucks.
And you're still at this point just taking like fucking like Tylenol and
Yeah.
you're not.
Yep.
They're not. You're not a heroin addict.
Right.
At this point.
Right. So we end up going to this thing, and she talks to me, and I'm like, fine, but just whatever.
Steve,
We get
my
there-
shoulder,
it turns out
my
to be it
shoulder
was a
hurts, and I want to say it, but I sound like such a pussy when I do.
It turned out it was a surprise birthday party for me.
Oh,
fuck
shit.
them. And you were like,
And the sad thing is I was totally buffaloed into believing it was for Amy, right? So we're playing this. They got us to Chad took me and somebody else. We were over playing this golfing thing.
you're like, she's not even 50. That fucking bitch.
And
I don't wanna go
they all go in the back. They go, oh, we're just gonna go back here and play pool. And so then we're up, and pretty soon Amy comes up, and she like accidentally unplugs the video game. And I don't like the game anyway. I'm not doing very good. And they're like, oh, just coming back and hang out with us. So we go walking back. All of a sudden, everybody goes, surprise! And first thing I did is I looked at Amy. I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I didn't know they were gonna do that on your birthday. And she goes, it's not what it was for. It wasn't my birthday party. It's yours, you dumb shit. I'm like, oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
That's pretty.
That was
awesome.
pretty good. That was a good trick.
Yeah.
But no, I just did not. I was trying to eat. Oh, it's so hard to eat. But so I've had 3 or 4 surgeries now where they've took skin grafts, and that was the worst one. When they did from the inside of your mouth, that really sucked.
Huh.
But what happens is, as it's healing, they said, okay, we'll leave it stitched shut for a month, 5 weeks if they can, but 4 would be best. Well, there's plastic over your eye and your lid's sewn shut, and as it's healing, it's retracting, so the stitches are pulling. So they're incredibly painful. These little things sitting on my cheek, you touch them, and it's just insanely painful. And it makes me very irritable. Just if you get something in your eye, you get kind of crabby.
Oh my god, it's just horrible. It's
And-
the worst thing in the world.
Honestly,
Like life stops. If I'm like I do a ton of like woodworking, whatever. Man, when I get a piece of shit in my eye, it's like fucking all bets are off until I get this out. Like
Yep.
I'm not doing anything else.
and that's what it feels like
Constantly.
24/7 for up to 5 weeks if they can go, and that's a long time. Even a week. If you have to count every minute of the day for a week, that's a lot of minutes. And when it hurts nonstop, I'm like, that's a freaking long time. And usually what ended up happening most of the time is after about a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, the stitches would pop out and the thing would fall out. And then we'd have to wait another month or 2 for everything to heal, and then they'd do it again. And we just keep doing that as we're trying to rebuild everything. And the last one I had was in December of last year. And they didn't actually have to put the plastic things in, which was great. So it didn't hurt near as bad. I mean,
so did the inside of your eyelid heal well enough then? So now they didn't have to do the plastic?
Right.
Because they weren't as worried about your eyeball attaching?
Right.
Okay.
Yep. So it was more, and what's been happening is it's not healing. That she said my body creates a lot of scar tissue. And one of the things that happens is
comparative to other people, or just
she just said it really creates a lot of scar tissue really fast. So it's not healing as good as she would have liked it to. So she's trying to rebuild.
It's almost like you have
lid.
A superpower that's like fucking with you right now.
Yeah. So what ended up happening is because that skin that they put over my eye, the way it was healing, it would kind of start to push it back out and refuse again. So she was fighting that, and it's gotten to the point now. She goes, okay. I met with a cornea expert that she had, and I said, what options do I have? Can I ever get my eye fixed? And he goes, well, the problem is the stem cells, and we're starting to learn more about those. And he said the technology he goes, the only thing you can do is get stem cells from your other eye, which is, we don't want to do that because you only got one, so you don't want to risk messing up your other eye.
Right, because taking stem cells out of the good eye and putting them in the other eye is an option, but they could fuck up your good eye then.
Right. That was the concern. And he goes, the technology is not quite there to lower the risk yet. And he goes, and you have to have a good retina. And he goes, obviously, and we'd have to do a cornea transplant. So they do a cornea transplant, do the stem cells, but your retina has to be good. So then I had to go to St. Cloud.
Cornea is the back of the eye, right?
Cornea is the front, the colored part.
Oh, yeah, the cornea.
And then the retina is the big, like the brain. So the one thing that they told me early on is that if your retina is damaged, it's like brain damage. You can't fix that.
Okay.
If that's bad, you're kind of screwed.
But your retina's not. Or
no, so I went to St. Cloud and they did a ultrasound on it, and they said they can't see anything. There's nothing that they could detect that would tell them that you shouldn't pursue trying to fix it. So I'm like, oh, that's encouraging. That's super good news, right? So now we can do this. So then I go to the cornea guy. He's like, yeah, I don't know, because the stem cell research isn't there. He goes, maybe in 10 or 15 years we could do it, because he goes, if we do a cornea transplant right now, he goes, I don't think it's going to hold up. You're going to have to put drops in it all the time, and it's just, we'd have to do it from there. He's just like, just not a good idea. So I'm like, God damn it. So I'm thinking this is going to be another one of those hurry up and wait. Man. And I happened to run into Jason Cave down here not long after that, right? And he's got an eye that's so messed up because he got hit with a paintball gun at close range.
Yep.
And he went to the University of Minnesota, and they did some amazing things for him. He's like, you got to call this doctor. You got to call him tomorrow. You got to call him and tell him when to come in. And
I didn't know that. I didn't know.
Huh. Well, yeah. So I end up calling the guy and go down there, and he's like, yeah, okay, yeah, you probably need to have a cornea transplant. And he goes, we'd have to do the stem cell. And I'm like, what? Yeah, but you don't want it. It's low. It's high risk, and the technology's out there. He's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, we take a tiny, tiny sample, and he goes, and we can grow it in a dish now. He goes, I got a colleague that's doing this. He goes, it's growing a small sample in a dish big enough that they can transplant in. He goes, within a year they'll be doing it on humans. He goes, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm like, what?
So basically, what they're doing is they're taking just a couple, maybe even one stem cell out of the good eye. Mm-hmm. So very low risk because they're not punching a fucking hole in your eyeball and sucking shit out. And then they're taking it and essentially replicating it. And then they can use those stem cells. Because the problem with stem cells is that, and actually that's not even a really, that's a deceptive word, because people think of stem cells as like grow juice, and they are. Embryonic stem cells are. They're basically a blank cell, so they can become anything. But different parts of your body have specific stem cells. So your eyes have eye stem cells.
Right.
Your liver have liver stem cells. Your dick have dick stem cells. So you don't like. So you can't take.
We're gonna get more of those.
Right. But you can take embryonic stem cells, which are blank, and put them in anything. But that's what they tried, and it didn't work very good in the one eye because you didn't have enough of the good stem cells left. Is that
right?
Am I?
And this is that, and also this discussion with this guy is where I learned that the stem cells over your cornea are different than the rest of your eye.
Yeah, that is.
Because I'm like, well, the white part of my eye, the shiny part. He's like, no, that's fine. And I'm like, what do you mean it's fine? He's like, no, that's different stem cells. Just over the cornea itself is the separate. Those are the ones that are important that we need to fix. He goes, because until those are done, you can't. It's the protective layer that keeps your eye from getting infection. Because that's one of the biggest risks with this whole thing is if you get an infection in there, you lose your whole eye, right?
Right.
So that was part of the reason why they were trying to constantly put stuff in there. And I had a whole bunch of these different ointments and drops and crap that I had to put in, and I couldn't do shit. I was trying to get the drops in, so I had to have people help. And thank God, again, neighbors. Amy would come over every day and help me put drops in at noon, because for a while Deb was driving home from work over lunch because I couldn't get these stupid drops in. So then he was like, don't worry about it. She's a realtor, so she's home off and on a lot. So she'd run over, and if she couldn't, if Chad was around, he'd come over. Sometimes her daughter would come over. I mean, they all
That's
were
some fucking good neighbors, man.
no shit.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, you said that early on, but now I'm like, oh, I fucking believe it. I'm in.
it was amazing. Thank God, because I don't know what I would have done.
Well, and let me just say, it's because Steve and Deb are good fucking people that they
Sure.
have good fucking neighbors.
That you deserve good neighbors. Yeah.
Like, you know.
But I mean, that was huge.
if if I was in this situation, my neighbors would fucking let me die. Like,
Right.
there's
Come over every day and punch you in the fucking
they
eye.
would- yeah, zero
Fucker.
chance. Zero.
Yeah.
And Meta's made sure of that.
So yeah, all this different thing. Well, then what they ended up doing though is they take the white part of your eye, which apparently again it's separate from the rest, and they pulled it shut over my cornea and sewed it shut.
No fucking way.
Yeah, so that's how it's protected. So now my eye, if I look in it, it looks like the guy from the Kung Fu that has the blue white eye.
So they turned you into a fucking husky?
Yeah, more or less.
That's cool.
No,
I was going to say Kung Fu master.
Like, wait a second though. So I am having a hard time with this. So they take your eyeball, and then they cut around the colored part of your eye.
Apparently, yeah.
And then just basically go stretch it over, and then like tie it like a garbage sack or something, and that's how they do it.
They must something like that. Yeah.
Fucking bread tie.
And now, so that is protecting your
Cornea.
cornea. Is your cornea just the colored part of your eye?
Probably.
We are obviously eye experts, but yeah.
You'd think I would know this with all the shit I went through.
Actually, it's surprising though, like how much you do know about the eyeball now, right? 'Cause,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even know that where the retina was. So,
It's all right.
but that's interesting. So that's where you're at now.
Yeah. So they've done most of what they can do to reconstruct the lid, and it actually closes fairly well because of the muscles on my eyelid. They're really thin muscles to begin with, and they don't heal very well. If you damage them, they're kind of done. So they've added skin to it like 4 times to try to get it to push down. Well, really what ends up happening now is mostly it closes from the bottom. It moves a little bit down, but mostly it closes but it does close. So like when I sleep now, it stays shut. For a long, long time, over a year, it would always peek open a little bit, and I'd wake up and it'd be super dry, and I'd be putting crap in it constantly.
So do your tear ducts work now?
I don't know if they work good enough yet, or if they ever will, but it does work.
Huh.
I mean, you yawn or something, you can get it does produce tears.
Huh.
I know
Well, that's
that,
good.
so.
And so like, do you still have to use drops, but just not?
I do.
something?
So, well, actually, what I do now is mainly just an ointment. I had been using like a steroid drop or a couple different ones for a long, long time.
Where do you get those? I want.
You got to exercise my tear ducts.
Tiny little $300 bottle.
Mondays I watch The Life of Brian, or watch Brian's song.
It was
Right,
like-
like not The Life of Brian.
Life of Brian. Yeah, that one makes me cry every time.
Tuesday, Land Before Time.
Life's a piece of shit.
Wednesday I watch
When you
Rudy.
look at it.
We were watching Land Before Time this morning.
Man, that shit.
Were we still talking about comedies? You watch Rudy? That 70s porno?
Matt hates Rudy.
I didn't like Rudy. You didn't like Rudy? I knew I liked you.
I never really watched it.
It's a fucking
Yeah.
ridiculous movie.
You probably hated Land Before Time too.
Yep. I don't know if I did or not. Fuck, I don't think I've ever watched Land Before Time.
My kids love that shit.
Fox and the Hound. Now we're talking.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
We'll always be friends.
yeah.
Forever.
Let me just curl up on the floor and cry in the fetal position and cry for a while. Are you fucking kidding me?
That show was like just horrible. When
Fuck
you're
me
a
right in the
child.
childhood. Thanks for nothing, Disney.
So, I want to talk about other shit about your eye, but I remember you telling a story about how, I don't even know how long it was, but how afterward you were like you thought maybe you had a zit or something. And
Oh, yeah. So when I would go to the burn place, they would dig in all the holes. It was like I had these pits, and some of them were long and deep. I mean, you could stick the end of a Q-tip kind of almost in them, and they'd dig stuff out. And they were digging in my cheek right about here. And you could feel it. I could hear it kind of scratching when she's digging in it. And she's like, oh, my God, look what I found. And she's showing me these little chunks on a piece of white that she
The
pulled out.
grains
About
of fucking.
Yeah, it was like about the size of a BB, like from BB Gun BB. I'm like, whoa.
Damn.
So then,
like fucking boulders.
So then we go home, and I'm digging in the mirror, and I'm like, God dang it. I said, Deb, there's something in there yet. I can feel it. So I said, can you help me? So she got the tweezers, and this is, oh, God, it fucking hurt. So I'm pulling in on it like this, like it's a zit kind of trying to go, and she's digging in it, and you can feel it scratching. She's like, there's something in there. And we'd go until I just couldn't stand the pain anymore, and we'd stop, like, okay, take a couple seconds. She'd go again, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, my God. And I'm like, look in the mirror, and there's a chunk. And I took it out, and I put it on a ruler. It was a 1/4-inch square. Came
What
out
the
of my
fuck?
cheek a month after the fact that it happened.
Damn.
That's so fucked up.
Oh, I'd have these spots, and I just started pushing on them like, is it? And this black ooze shit would come squirting out. I think it was just powder.
Yeah,
Your body's
probably.
pushing it out.
It is amazing though, because if you are only listening to this, Steve is a very handsome guy, and you really, other than the fact that you're wearing an eye patch, you have very little scarring that is
It covers
visible.
it up well.
Yeah,
Yeah, like I said,
the patch-
sunglasses.
Right.
Nobody fucking know.
But I mean, it was
that's
like
the-
literally your whole fucking face
It was, yep.
all
It was
like,
burned, yep.
nasty.
Damn.
Yep, it was really bad.
So it's amazing how much the body can do, come back. Because you didn't have any real reconstructive surgery on your face other than the eyeball.
Just the eyelid.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or eyelid, I should say.
Was it really sensitive to like, because it was fucking middle of summer when you got it, but like when you go outside with the patch, or even if when it was covered up and stuff, did the light and the heat really fucking aggravate it and shit?
It wasn't horrible, but it's kind of like a burn. Any burn, it was more sensitive to that, and it took a long time for that to kind of. And luckily, I was in and out of the damn hospital and the places, just going to all my appointments, just constantly putting stuff on it and having gauze. And I was
really that first year.
So
was
by the time it kind of mellowed out a little bit, it was already into the winter months, so it wasn't near as bad. But I had a really, really hard time going in public.
Yeah.
So I had this weird patch that they got me, and I didn't like it. And I went online, and I was trying to find something, and I hated the thought of even having to do that. So I found this rubbery one,
Man,
which was
this shit
decent.
is just making me fucking like.
Yeah, it makes your eyes hurt. Yeah.
And I had to go sit in the chair at the psychologist for a lot of visits to talk about this shit, because going out in public is really freaking hard.
Good for you. Actually, I was going to ask you about that, but so you do like see a psychologist?
I have numerous times. Currently, right now, I'm not, but I went for a long spell shortly after it happened, and just to process the thing, because I mean, if I look in the mirror where I can only see half my face, it looks normal, and I'll stand there, and then you do this, and you go, fuck, it sucks,
Huh.
and it's there. The worst thing is it's your face. It's what you see.
Right.
It's the thing you know about yourself the most, and that's how you recognize yourself. And to see it jacked up, that sucks. And that was really, really hard mentally to deal with that. And I'm always been like hypersensitive to my surroundings and what other people think or say or do. I read body language, and I listen and I watch. If I'm talking to somebody and they kind of do something with their eyes, I'm like, oop, they're not interested. We should change the subject, or maybe we just need to move on. And I've always been that way. And this is like taking it to the 100th level.
Interesting. Do you think that really helped talking to somebody about it?
That was huge. And again, Deb pushing me and saying, we just need to go do this. Because when we'd go to the cities for some of my appointments, sometimes we'd spend the night in a hotel before, because we had to be there early in the morning, so we'd go down the night before. And eventually I was able to drive. The first time I drove a car, though, I felt like I was 15 driving for the first time, like, holy shit, everything's going 100 miles an hour. Like, it took a while for everything to slow back down and feel somewhat normal. Well, then I'd pull up to a spot and get out, and I'm like, holy shit, I got like 10 feet in front of me. I thought I was going to hit him. That was really hard. And just the depth perception in general, at first I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. We go to the damn grocery store, and they go to hand me their receipt, and I totally miss it. I'm like, son of a bitch. And then I get super stressed, because I'm like, all right, don't miss it, because you're going to look like an idiot. And I'd crunch it into their hand. I'm like, God damn it. And just trying to work through these things.
Hey, did you see that guy pissing 2 feet in front of the urinal?
Yeah, he was pissing on my leg.
Oh, I same thing as you. I
Shit.
dumped water all over the counter, thinking I was dumping it into a container. And you bump into shit. Oh, it sucks. And one of the first times the grandkids picked up a ball to throw to me, I'm like, oh my shit. I don't know where it's going to go. What's going to happen
Can
here?
you catch a ball now?
I can,
Okay.
but I've practiced.
Right. Okay. I was wondering how long it took.
A long time.
I bet.
I'd go out in the yard with a tennis ball, and I'd bounce it and try to grab it, or throw it up on the garage roof, let it roll down, or bounce it off the wall, come back and catch it. Just work at it over and over again.
that's
just
good.
Tossing it around to try to get that. Sometimes you think you're doing good, and then all of a sudden, nope. Well, like playing frisbee, the first couple are a little stressful, and then all of a sudden I got this, now I get it dialed in, and the timing's down, now I'm good again, and I feel like just normal. But one of the hardest things I found I still haven't been able to overcome is pounding a goddamn nail. It's so easy. You just put the nail and you pound it in, right? No, you bend it over, you hit your thumb, you do all kinds of stupid shit.
Really? That?
Oh
I
my
bet you
god!
that.
Why? Why? Of all the things, I've done that since I was a kid. You hold it up. You don't even have to look.
You know, Steve, they
apparently you do.
made this thing, this like new invention. It's called a fucking nail gun.
Right,
Like,
just the little nails. I bent so many over because doing a whole bunch of work at the house. I was doing a bunch of remodeling stuff inside, and that actually was a challenge. I found myself too as I'd go down. You know how you look at something, you close one eye and look at it. I close my left eye and I'm like, shit, I still really can't see it now, but it's just out of habit. Son of a bitch.
Oh, that really fucking helps. Shit.
The worst when I have these surgeries, they do that crap to your eye. Well, they tape it from my forehead to my chin, and they'd have a ball about the size of a racquetball ball over your eye of gauze, and it's this big lump, and I had to keep that on for 5 days. So now I'm just sitting in the house with this giant ass thing on my face
with a diaper on your face.
Yeah, and I don't want to see anybody. And I'm like, God, just counting down the minutes. And thank God again, Chad and Amy go, come on over, sit by the pool, just hang out. And I'm like, I can't obviously go in, but I can at least socialize with other people. Like, we don't care, nobody cares. I'm like, well, maybe they do. I care.
Right.
But so it helped keep life somewhat normal. So they would engage, and they could tell I was struggling.
Well,
Amy actually drove me to surgery twice.
Yeah.
Because, again, Deb wasn't able to go. And driving to cities is not her. She doesn't like to do that. And I hate to put the pressure on her because I obviously can't drive.
Right.
Right after a surgery because they...
Oh, yeah. So even now
So
that
those are total under ones.
even now that you
completely
can
out.
drive, you still can't drive because nobody can bring you back. I mean,
Right.
you
It's always
can't drive
before you
back.
go to the surgery, like, make sure you have a driver. We can't
Right.
leave here. Yeah, that whole thing.
How long? What was I gonna ask? Fuck! I just had a good question. I don't know. All I was gonna say though is I didn't realize actually that you were self-conscious about it.
Oh, good God.
At all.
I hate it.
I have heard you talk about it in not quite in this depth, but in you talk about it all. You've talked to me because everybody fucking asks because it's and which maybe isn't like normal to just walk up to somebody and be like, dude, what happened to your eye? But this is a different...
People do.
Well, here people do all the time because it's a different place. A, there's alcohol involved, but B, it's kind of like a family. I mean, everybody kind of knows everybody, and you just get that, like...
So you get comfortable in your routine. Like, I like to come here, go down to Sheps, or I go to the grocery store. The basic places we go, you get comfortable with those. It's going to the other places. Like, for example, we were just at Lakes Jam. We're talking about that, right?
Yep.
So there's a whole lot of people there.
I bet.
And nobody else has a patch on.
Right.
And it sucks because, like you said, I can wear sunglasses and nobody knows. But at some point, I have to take those off and switch. And they're like, huh, you didn't have that before. Now you do. And it's even like walking into a room, it's like I got a big light flashing on my head. Like, look at me, right? And I hate that attention. I don't want it, but it's there. And you hear comments. I mean, I'll hear somebody will do the pirate sound constantly. People in the background.
Real fucking original.
Right. But
But people do it, and they don't think you can. And
But you've been so fucking cool about it.
I don't care if you guys do it.
Well, no, I mean, you sent me when we were trying to set this up. The text you sent me said Steve the Pirate.
Right.
That's why I think your name is Bolin. And then you, Rob and Aaron like to collect bottle openers.
Right.
A big collection of bottle. You might be able to see them in the background here. Well, and you guys gave them a fucking pirate bottle opener.
And see, I embrace it with the people I'm close to. It's the random strangers that I have no clue who they are making the comments. That's hard for me to deal because I should just block it out. And, and the funny thing is I'll walk in the room with 5
pretty
other
fucking
people.
rude, really though.
It is. But what's interesting is I'll walk in the room with 5 people and somebody will do it and I'll hear it. Nobody else hears it.
Right, because you're tuned to it.
Very self-conscious about it. Like the other day in the store, we're in the store, and Deb thinks this is a hilarious little thing. But kids are always curious, and I don't really mind.
And
the
kids
because
are
I get
not
it.
being assholes.
No.
Hey, if you walk into a bar and somebody goes, they're being a fucking dick.
Right. Yep.
Sure.
And then you can show them your cutlass. Which
Yeah.
is the nice thing about being a pirate is you get to have a cutlass and you get to fucking hack people up.
No, we're walking through the store. And this little girl.
I'm not a
she's-
jolly pirate, motherfucker.
Right. No, this little curly-haired little girl. She's probably around 4-ish. She's doing her little thing, and also she turns around and sees me and goes, "Aye, matey," or something like that. I'm like, but
Cute,
kind of quiet
you know?
under her breath, and then just walks away. And she gives you the little bit of a look, and Deb starts laughing. And I'm like, "God damn it!" And it was fun. It was cute. She wasn't obviously trying to be mean, but anything.
No, she
But
was.
kids are.
That's adorable.
It is. But it's like, God, that's the stuff you got to deal with all the time. But I notice it a lot. Your kids will just start staring. They'll just give you the.
Have you ever
walking
had
by.
Have you ever had one of your kids like, dude, Chloe? I wanted to fucking like. I wanted to turn into a fucking. I was like a puddle. Like I wanted to just fucking like sink down to the ground and fucking slide down a drain in the fucking floor. We were going through line to the checkout one time, and Chloe was about that age. She was like 3 or 4. And the lady at the cash register, she had some good sized buck teeth. And Chloe like didn't say it like she was. Chloe was just amazed. She thought it was the coolest thing ever. She's like, "Dad," she's like, "she's got bunny teeth."
Oh, good
and
God.
said it loud enough for the lady to hear. And I'm like, like I just wanted to fucking die. But
Yep.
that lady was probably like, "Oh, fucking kids," But I was like, "Oh my god."
And I've seen the parents grab the kids because the kids are like, "Dad, I saw a pirate. Dad." And I'm like, oh, I try to just kind of wander away to not, because I know that now the parent feels bad, and I feel bad that they feel bad.
So,
now I'm
sure.
like, I don't want to make it worse. So I'm like, I'll go walk over here.
So the difference between you and I is that I would only walk around
Dressed as a pirate.
pirate from this point forward. Like, yeah, I would get the tricorn hat, and I would definitely carry a cutlass.
No, it's
Um,
it's. We went to a bar the other day, a few weeks back. See a band. I'm sitting at a table, and again, it's the whole sitting outside around all these people wearing glasses. And all of a sudden, it gets dark. I'm like, son of a bitch! Everybody I've been around is now all of a sudden going to know. They didn't know before. Now they know.
Yeah, but I mean,
And
well,
it
I guess
just-
if they were
it's-
at all percent.
But if you're self-conscious at all, it sucks.
Huh.
And people like I've had the people say, "Oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's just it looks good." I'm like,
Well,
"Okay, let's
honestly-
go home. Take a big black marker, draw it around your eye, and then let's go downtown. See if you want to go downtown."
well, so
You know?
in my, and I mean, this helps you zero because like it's just from my perspective. But I have always thought that you were a handsome man. But I think since the accident, I fucking think the patches just makes you look better.
It's kind of bad.
It's a plus.
People do say that.
I do think it sucks a little bit that you have bad depth perception. That's a bummer, and it sucks that maybe you don't have an eyeball. But
I'd make up 100 stories.
Kyle and I thought we might just wear eye patches just for solidarity, But
You'd hate it. You'd hate it.
well, and then we were like, yeah, but then we would be just doing this the entire time. Like more than likely, we'd actually end up losing an eye. So
it takes a long time to get, and it's really now after 2 years in, it's more of an inconvenience than it really is a handicap.
So where are we at now?
Okay.
Yeah, they did that. Now, what is the prognosis?
So right now I have, because obviously they closed up. There's no way I can actually see. Before the scar tissue really kind of took hold, I was sitting in the chair one day and I had my hand over this side. I was just trying to see because I could see light. I could tell where all the windows were, and all of a sudden, Deb walks by and I'm like, "You have tan pants and a black shirt on." I saw that as you walked by,
No shit.
and she's like, "Holy shit!" And I'm like, "I know." I said, "I can." It's like looking through a really greasy lens.
Yeah.
It was blurry, but I could make it out. And there was actually a time in the doctor's office, if the lighting was right, I could tell how many fingers she had held up, and she had the little chart with an E on it, so she'd tip it up or down or left, and I'd tell her which way. But she had to have it really close, and it had to have good backlighting, and I could see it. Well, then all of a sudden that started to get worse, because the scar tissue starts to grow over your eye as well, and then they closed it all up, so then it really took it away. So right now I could see light.
Okay, but that's still like
That was a good sign to
because
me.
the scar tissue, they can take that back off, right?
Right.
Right.
And
So
It's healing up
that
a little,
was-
and there's some, and at the U they told you about. So
Right,
there is
so-
a little
So
light at the end of the tunnel.
So I actually went for a while to get. I went and had one of these little plastic shells made for my eye.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you should get a prosthetic, so at least it looks good. You can still obviously do the cornea transplant later, but in the meantime, get something in there so you feel like you have an eye again, right? So, which was a really interesting process. So I went down. It was a 2-day deal down in this place in the city somewhere. I don't even remember where the hell it was. But you go in, and one of the first things they do is they inject this gel into your eye socket, and it's got a little stem on it. It almost looks like a little tiny plunger. They shoot that gel in there, and it firms up really quick, and you just kind of pull it out. Then they go make a cast out of it.
So they basically like make a
form.
So where does it fit, though? I mean,
Just
like
in and around over. They just hold your eye open and just kind of squirt the stuff in, and then they pull it back out, right? So now they've got an imprint of the surface of your eye.
So it's a big contact lens, essentially.
Yeah. If you had a I should have brought the damn thing in. That would have been cool. But a normal one, if you got a good healthy eye, I mean, it can be. They're big. I mean, it's bigger than, it's like a silver dollar size.
Okay.
Because it goes way up over and underneath your eye.
Oh.
Well, it can't be that big for me because I got the scar tissue and stuff, so there's less space.
Gotcha.
So they do this mold, and then they go back, and they're like, all right, come back in like 3 hours. Like, all right, so we come back. Well, now he's got a mold that he made from that's got a little stick poking out of it. And they use dental wax to hold that stick in place. And he sticks it in your eye, he inserts it in, and he tries to get that stick to line up so it's the same as your pupil on this side. So if it's a little droopy, he'll, all right, heats it up, moves it around. Pretty soon he gets it so that the center, so when it's fit in there, there's a stick sticking out straight in line with your pupil over here. So now you don't look like you're cockeyed when somebody's looking at you, right?
Only is that, but it doesn't move, right?
No, it does. So as my eye moves, this little stick's twitching around a little bit.
Interesting. So if you had that prosthetic in and you looked like this, that eye would turn?
Yes.
No shit.
That's why they do the
because your eye turns when you
Right.
look at me.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The problem is right now is mine moves, but it doesn't move as much as it's supposed to because of the scar
'Cause it's-
tissue and the
yeah, it's all
attaching and the fusing
ganked.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
But so he did this, and then they're like, all right, well then come back again in 2 more hours, and then they make another mold of it, and now they got the dark part, a circle, right where that stick was. So now they got the colored part of your eye. So then, or just the dot for the pupil. So then we go sit in a chair, and he puts it on this little pedestal that makes it spin. And he's got paint, all these different paints. He's like looking at this eye, and he's like, all right, we need a little this color.
Fucking little-
And as
like
it's
he's
spinning,
literally
he's
fucking-
he's drawing lines on it and getting it all painted up. And he'll take it off and he'll hold it up and look. And he's like, oh, he's adding browns and golds, all these different colors to try to paint it exactly like my other eye, all by hand.
happy little trees.
So then, exactly, right? So then he's like, well, you got to do the veins because there's obviously red veins. He takes this thread.
And you were like, dude, I'm super hungover, so like,
And
just go to town.
he goes, is this how your eye normally looks? Because if it's not, we want to make it look like a normal day. He goes, if you drink every day, you should probably drink before you come in because then it'll look right. And I'm like, really? He was like, yeah, you want it to look right. Whatever your day looks like. So he goes,
So you
"We
went in
gotta
there
put
hammered.
to do the veins, they take a thread and they peel it all apart. So they got these tiny little strings, and you'll put like a shellac on it and lay those things on there, and then put another clear coat over it.
This guy is not a fucking eye doctor. He's like an artist.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
So then he gets it all spun up, but it's still flat on the top. So doesn't have the thing. He'll put a little drop of water to get the bubble, and you look at it like, holy shit, that's a freaking eye.
Huh.
So we do that, and then when he was all done painting it and it looked right. Obviously, the pupil doesn't get big and small; it stays. So you
Right.
got one that's jagged.
So when you're super high, you're just going to look all weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then we come back the next day and they do the final fitting. And when he first puts it in, he holds up the mirror and it's like looking down. I'm like, this is fucked up. It made me really depressed. I'm like, God damn it. And they're like, no, don't. It's like go in and they grind on it and they wiggle it. And he fit it and he actually got it to line up pretty good. But the problem is I don't have enough space on the top. So it barely is being held in. So you slip this thing in and if you sneeze, it'll pop out.
Right.
So-
now,
I was gonna ask
in the
about like
future-
blowing your nose and shit like that
Oh.
because I know like I
But they're
blow
like-
my nose really hard and sometimes I'm like, am I gonna blow a fucking eyeball out? Like,
so, but in the future, let's say shit goes bad and the vision doesn't come back, they could remove that scar tissue and you
Right.
could have a
They
prosthetic
could make
eye.
a tweak, yep.
Yeah.
So
Now,
the problem is they'd like wear it for an hour every day and gradually increase it so you can tolerate it. And it was a little bit uncomfortable, especially at first, but it was okay, and I had I'd keep it in for quite a while, and I was starting to get kind of used to it. And then when we talked about, the whole option of maybe the cornea transplant, I kind of abandoned. I'm like, I don't want it. I don't like it. Because it doesn't fit.
I mean,
well.
I would be like, if it's not going to see, if I can't see out of the fucking thing, I can have a prosthetic or I can have a cool ass eye patch. Give me Pirate. Like,
so,
but if you're going to be able, but the goal is to be able to see out of it.
Right. If my eyelid wasn't as jacked up as it is now,
yep.
I would have probably leaned a little more towards that prosthetic, because then it's not as obvious. When you walk in a room now, everybody knows your eye is fucked up because you got a patch on, right? But if you come in and your eye's there, but it's maybe just a little off, it's not as noticeable. Not everybody notices it right away. If they talk to you, like, something ain't right, But for the most part.
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, and I'm not in this position. But I would rather not be in the uncanny valley, where you're pretty close to right, but something's fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I would rather be blatantly
obvious.
I mean, and on the other, and I mean, again, you get to wear a fucking eye patch. I mean, it is.
You get to. You have to.
No, you get to. It's a plus sign.
It's a leather thing stretched on. It's hot. It's sliding down your face.
Oh, there are some maybe minus signs, but
yeah,
way more pluses. I mean, think of the career choices that have opened up for you now. I mean, you really can become a pilot, and nobody can say anything about it.
They said I can't fly. I can't become a commercial pilot.
Oh no, a pirate.
Right. No. Yep.
You can't become. You can become a commercial pirate.
I can do that. Yes, I can. But actually, so where we're at. So that after my last surgery, the doctor goes. She goes, well, there's really not a whole lot more we can do reconstructive wise. She goes, so you have to decide what you're going to do. She goes, there's probably a couple years out from a cornea transplant. So she goes, so what do you want to do in the meantime? Are you going to just wear your patch every day? Or do you want to get fitted with the prosthetic again and try to go that route? She goes, if you want to, go in and talk to the guys. Because she's really good relationship with the people who do this. And she said, ask them if there's anything we need to do. Do they need to make more room? Is it able to fit? What if we need to tweak it, we'll tweak it. Otherwise, just wait until things are good. So it kind of stopped. Right. I mean, I was like every 3 months I was trying to have surgeries, jamming everything through. And last summer sucked. So obviously it sucked for everybody because of COVID.
Right.
But at the end of June, I had my last surgery, and then I got put on an antibiotic that you can't be in the sun for all of July. So
what a bummer.
That sucked. So we go out on the lake, and I'd have to sit underneath the canopy in the boat while everybody else is out playing in the sun. And I'm like, this just blows. So then we talked about a surgery. I'm like, I'm not doing anything this year. I want my summer back. I want to just not have a surgery. I don't want crap in my eye. I don't want my eyes showing shut. Let's go the whole year and just say, screw it. And insurance-wise, it's a lot cheaper, too.
Sure.
You want one surgery and your deductible's met.
Right. I mean, thankfully, you did have fairly good insurance, right?
Yeah, it cost me about $6,500. So roughly with lost wages, it cost me about $10,000 a year for the first 2 years.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Everybody needs an extra or a not extra $10,000. However, that works.
Yeah,
a $10,000 hit to the wallet. How are you feeling about it now? Do you still have that
the anxiety's there, but it's not as bad. It's more manageable. I had to force myself to just kind of do things because every time, even getting out of the car. So normally, you wear your sunglasses, and as you're walking in, you just take them off and you go and do your thing. Well, now I got to stop and switch. I got to take my glasses off. I got to put my patch on to go in. It's like out in a patio, like it ships at the patio. I want to go inside. Now I got to stop at the door. Well, everybody else is inside waiting for me. Now I'm standing there trying to hide so people can't see it. I'm trying to take my glasses.
I didn't realize that because I saw you drive up with your sunglasses on. You don't just wear your sunglasses over the patch?
No.
Why not?
It doesn't fit right because of where your nose is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
So, yeah, there's this. Every time I park, then I got to stop. Everybody jumps out. I'm like, hold on, I got to do this.
Are you ever tempted just to wear your sunglasses like in the bar or whatever at night or whatever?
Early on, I did. Before I had a patch, I had these sunglasses that were not very dark, but they were good enough that you couldn't see what was going on, but they were light. But I felt like an idiot. Well, who wears their damn sunglasses inside?
Kids, listen, it's a real thing. You know who wears their fucking sunglasses inside, like at the bar, like inside and at night and shit? Douchebags. Everybody fucking knows it. He's got a legitimate excuse to do it, and he won't do it.
Because he's not a douchebag.
Fuck. I can't help myself. I'm gonna be at the fucking bar. I'm like, it's fucking midnight, kid. Take your fucking glasses off.
Right. Yeah. But overall, I think I've gotten a lot better. I did go to the psychologist again for a spat last year for a few months, and he even goes, I think you're doing pretty good now. So every once in a while, it hits you. You know, it's like anything. You think you're doing really good, and something triggers it. The PTSD side of it, because I know that's what it was. So for a long time, every time I lay down in bed, close my eyes, I just see the bright light. I'd open my eyes and close them again, and eventually I could work through it where it would stop. And I have dreams, of and remembering what had happened. And I had some really horrific dreams for a while, and I was talking to my psychologist about it, and she's like, that's you processing what happened, coming to terms with what happened.
Right.
And she goes, and it got better after that. But every once in a while I get it, but for the most part, in my dreams now, I wear a patch, or I've even had...
Oh, really? In your dreams you wear a patch?
And now my dreams, I only have one eye. For a long time I did, it wasn't that way. Huh. But it's apparently my brain's come to terms with it enough that now when I dream, I am the same as I am.
So you have one-eye dreams.
Your self-image has incorporated.
Mm-hmm. I've had dreams where I've like, screw it, I'm not wearing my patch, and everyone's like, what the hell's wrong with your eye? But it's I'm dealing with it in my dreams as well now.
That's interesting. I wonder, and like best case scenario. Oh, okay, but actually not best case scenario. Is it likely if you can get your vision back, it will still only be partial vision?
No. So, and I was concerned with the same thing. And then when I talked to the guy, he's like, no, it either works or doesn't, because it's going to be the cornea transplant. He goes, if that's what's damaged, he goes, if you have other damage, like your retina's jacked up, then possibly that could be a factor.
Right.
But if all it is the cornea, I said, so what should I expect to have good vision? He's like, oh yeah, 20/20. If we do it.
And do you have 20/20 vision? Or did you have 20/20?
I've never worn glasses, right? So I obviously I've getting older. I need cheaters, but my vision in my left eye has gotten better after losing my right eye.
For sure.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's weird.
Yeah. Do you know how it does that?
No.
It's super interesting. What happens is your facial muscles will distort your cornea. What is that? The lens? Mm-hmm. Is that the lens? The outside?
We'll call it that.
It'll distort the lens to correct your vision.
To focus.
Right. Yep. So so like your facial muscles are actually like distorting your lens to whatever, and then those muscles build up over time and just become your face.
Humans
Isn't that fucking amazing?
Yeah.
The reason I know that is because I have two very different eyes, two very different vision dyes or whatever. And when I take my glasses off, I can't see shit, right? But I, for a long time, didn't have insurance and I didn't have glasses. So I, over time, my eyes I can see. I can pass a test to drive without my glasses on.
Wow.
But if I take my glasses off right now, I could have zero chance of passing a test to drive. So when I gotta go take my driver's test, I just don't wear my glasses for a couple of days beforehand, and then I can pass the test because I want to just be able to drive without my glasses in case whatever.
Right.
But I get fucking headaches. So after a while, I'll get headaches. They actually will go away after, because then once my facial muscles will adjust and build up, but that takes time. But that's very interesting. But that's why that's why I am a doctor, but I don't know for sure. But that's what my eye doctor told me. So,
so I was concerned about the whole, can I get my license renewed with only what are the restrictions? Luckily, Sandy, everybody knows Sandy.
Yeah.
She worked at the DMV for a long time, and she's like, it's not that hard. People way worse than you do it. So and actually, thank goodness for COVID in a way that I didn't have to go in and do all this stuff. But what's really was kind of a tough thing is they had to take a new picture. So my new driver's license picture has a patch now. I was wearing my patch. So that I used to have a picture of me that didn't have a patch.
Yeah.
And now it has it. And it was like... No, it's real. Now, it's stupid things like that.
Again, I just fucking think that's cool.
Watch when you get that surgery and shit, and it's back to you're back to 2020. You fucking first time you get pulled over, he's gonna be like, "It's your fucking problem, son."
But it's just dumb little things like that, in the grand scheme of things, it's really, there's people that have it way, way worse than I do.
Sure.
Yes.
And you look at it like that. And that was a big part of it, especially when I was sitting in the burn unit dealing with the pits all over my face. Some of the people that were in the waiting room, like, ooh, I feel bad that I'm even here because they needed a lot worse than me.
Man, or what if what if like both eyes and then you're just blind all of a sudden? Holy shit.
I
Like,
mean,
they've
when you start going down the what if road,
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
you could have
been killed.
easily died.
Yeah.
If it would have exploded when it hit me, it probably would have killed me.
And even if you had just not had the wherewithal to turn around and go,
Right.
You know,
Get hit again, yeah.
yeah, you could have caught it again. So how is like? Do you have a little trepidation for going into this 4th of July because now you're going to be lighting off the fireworks again?
You know, what's funny is right after it happened and before it all kind of really sunk in, I was talking, I'm like, oh, no, I can do this again. It's not that big of a deal. Yeah, I got burned. I learned my lesson. I'm smarter now. And as reality really started to sink in, I'm like, I'll just go back and watch. And then once you start really thinking about, well, you only got one left. What if you lose that?
I'll go back and watch from a distance.
And technically, the doctors tell me this all the time. I should be wearing glasses always to protect your eye, just because from stupid things, you know.
Well, that's a good point.
And I have a hard time doing that.
Yeah, it would suck. Fuck no, man. You can't wear an eye patch and glasses.
I know.
And you can't even pull off an eye patch and a monocle. I mean,
Right,
that doesn't
right.
work.
That would be weird, yeah.
Yeah, you got to be pirate or you got to be fucking monocle man. You can't be eye patch monocle man. That does not work.
I do wear my safety glasses now when I'm working on stuff in my garage.
well, yes,
So what I did, I
sure.
spray painted one of the lenses black, so on the inside, so it looks kind of shiny.
You know, actually, that wouldn't actually be that bad of a look either.
And I've worn them like over to the neighbors. Where
You could get a cool pair of glasses and one black lens and one clear.
The only
lens.
issue is that the side, right? So you can see in.
Right.
If they're straight, you gotta have more of the wraparound ones, which sunglasses work really good.
Yeah.
Hey, can we take 5?
Yeah, we have to take 5 because I'm floating here.
Yeah.
So cool. So we'll be right back. Fuck, I forgot already. Bolster.
Yeah.
Got it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matt Taylor here with my good buddy.
Kyle Amundsen.
And again, we have Steve Bolster in the house. I got it this time.
Nice.
I got it.
Good job.
So, we picked up some beverages from the 9th Street Social Club. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
We're not paying for these. So where we left off, we were talking about. We've been talking about your eye this entire time, but
Right.
I wanted to. We were talking a little bit about like the trauma, you know, like and like having that like reoccurring nightmare. I really found that interesting that you started like dreaming about yourself with the patch. That's cool.
It was a surprise to me. I didn't expect that because I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it would be like a protective thing and it would just always be normal, but it was weird when it happened.
Huh. Well, I think that's cool.
I feel like every time you talk about it, I feel like I can see into your mind, and all you see are like pirate ships and stuff.
Are you talking about me?
Yes, absolutely. Because I know you.
Am I jealous of Steve?
I know you have a thing for pirates. I know.
Am I
you love
jealous
the
of
whole pirate
Steve?
ship thing.
Yes. Am I willing to go through any amount of pain to get there? No. Because guess
It's
what?
a lot of pain.
I can just wear a fucking pirate patch. I don't
true.
need to lose an eye to do it.
It's true.
So I found these cool. We'll go into the patches because Matt actually made me a really cool patch, and to me it's a challenging thing for me because I'm so self-conscious. I don't like change, right?
Right.
But I've actually got it here. You want to see it?
Oh, well, I have seen it. I made it.
Yeah. But here's the one that Matt made, and it actually works really well at keeping like the wind and all that stuff out. And I wear it when I ride my bike.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to now not have it so sealed because eventually I need to have to be able, if I want to be able to see without any covering, I got to get used to. Because if you take the patch off, you do get a little more airflow,
Right.
And it feels different. And this one I have, there's gaps in
Right.
it, and it's got a hole.
Well, when we talked about the patch, that was one of the things
It
that
was.
bugged you was that you didn't want to
Yep.
have any. You didn't want to have any stuff around. So I actually took a piece of formable plastic and I made it so that it would actually like suction cup kind of
And it
to
does,
the
yep.
eyeball. and then you can ratchet
Snug
it
it up,
down.
yep.
Yeah, but yeah, it's cool.
This is more of a trophy for me now. I love this thing. But it changes really hard. So I bought. Actually, I was looking online trying to find patches because I'm like the one I had I didn't really like. It was like the universal one. It could go on either side. It wasn't really formed, and it was kind of cheesy looking, I thought. And I looked online. I'm like, God, they're $45 for a leather one, and I don't know. But Deb just went, screw it, we're gonna buy you one. And
Well, that one looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that patch is super cool.
So she bought me. The first one I got was just like this, but it was brown. So I had a brown one and a black one.
So
and eventually they
so you could match your belt.
But eventually the other one kind of started wearing out. So the strap on the back, it's got elastic, and eventually you keep tightening it. Pretty soon there's nothing left to tighten. It's still loose. And then I had to switch to this one. Well, I had the other one kind of all broken, so it was fitting nice. Now I'm gonna break this one in again. But it was quite a process to go through, and I hated having to do it. You know, going online, I'm like finding this patch because it's more of an acceptance thing that this is my life now.
Yeah, Steve, I just going online and shopping for new patches. It just sounds.
It's hard. It's actually there's not that many
amazing. It's like my fucking wet dream.
My God. Yep. Well,
oh my God. I do have a pirate boner. I mean, I just do.
I remember that goes back a ways. At least the first time we talked about pirates was the Meyer and Associates days.
Jesus Christ, I don't remember why. Why did we do that?
Because you wanted to start having people people on boats. Battling it out like mock battles or whatever.
No, we did that. Yeah,
okay.
Like that was when I was a kid. Me and a bunch of my friends, we had a game. We'd play pirates. We had two shitty old fucking what kind of boat do you have?
Pontoon.
Two shitty old pontoons, and we would basically try to board each other, and like we would there was almost some drowning going on.
I was gonna say it sounds perfectly safe. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, we had melee weapons. It was
Nice.
beautiful.
Nice.
So I wanted to tell the story because I think it kind of relates to this. And it's always weird though, because when somebody goes through something like really traumatic, it's like human nature to try to want to relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
But then on the other side of it is it's like, yeah, no, I don't got nothing. I don't have it. Like, I'm sorry, dude. I never lost an eye or,
Right.
a testicle or, I have nothing. But I did jump out of an airplane one time.
Ooh, wow.
Which isn't really the same at all. But it was really fucking scary. And so the story goes, me and a bunch of my friends, like, were all into, like, skydiving. And they were like, hey, we want to get a big skydiving party, and we're going to have some newbies come, so you should come up and go skydiving with us. And I was just freshly with my second wife. We weren't married yet, so it was kind of that time period, early Eclectic Cafe days. And it was my buddy Eric Risenen who he ended up actually passing away or dying. I guess those are the same words. Mm-hmm. It's a little different though. Like passing away seems tranquil. This motherfucker like crashed his fucking helicopter, so like it's kind of more like dying. And it was a pretty heroic story, but.
The blaze of glory. Like there's that blaze of glory thing, which seems a million miles away from passing away.
Yeah,
that sounds like you died in your sleep.
Right. He was like, he was flying these guys in on the high wire, like where they were repairing the high wire, and something happened, and he had to make a choice between like saving them or like ditching the copter, and he fucking took the copter down, and I was like, of course he did. Like there's that was Eric Risenen. It was just the way he was. That would never have occurred to him to save himself. But anyway, he was also fucking crazy and wanted to. So he's like, hey, let's go skydiving. So anyway, we ended up going up to Hibbing, and we got like this 20-minute course on how to do it or whatever, and so we're gonna go tandem in the sky. I'm gonna essentially be strapped to this dude. His name is Mike, and we go up there, and I'm with this. It was me and this chick that were both she was gonna jump out one side, or jump out the other side, and her boyfriend, whose name was Damon Kaler. I don't know why I can remember that, but he was filming from down below. He had just gotten a video camera and he was filming. So anyway, we jump out of the airplane, and we're flying, free falling a little bit, and then. That's pretty cool, and I'm like, holy shit, it's fucking exciting, whatever. And then boom, he pulls the chute, And they explained in the training that there are certain things that can happen, and our chute was in a cigarette roll, so essentially it was just like wrapped up. And so instead of just kind of dropping into free fall, we started spinning around like really, like, yeah, it was like fucking crazy. And I remember from the training that they said if that happens, it's not a big deal, that we're just going to cut away, and then that chute's going to go flying off, and then the second chute will deploy and everything will be good. So I'm like, hey, Mike, this isn't good, right? We got to cut away. And he's like, yep, we're going to cut away. We're going to cut away. We'll drop back into free fall. It's going to be cool. So he finally cuts away. We drop back into free fall for just a few seconds. Boom, second chute deploys. Still not great. It's fucking twisted and folded. It's not, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but the chute was like twisted once and then folded in. So it was slowing us, but it wasn't slowing us enough. It wasn't great, right? And we're still like strapped to each other, and we're screaming toward the ground, and it's just a fucking crazy thing. And then I was like, Mike, this ain't good, right? And he goes, it ain't great, you know? And I was like, fuck. Well, what are we doing? And he's like, okay, I need you to take these toggles and da-da-da. He wanted me to do a thing called a hard break, I guess is what it was called. So I had to reach up above my head and I had these two toggles, and I had to pull them down. And it was like our combined body weight divided by, like, there was some equation. It was a lot of weight more than I probably could do. So I have these toggles and I'm pulling on him, and he's like, pull, pull, pull. And the fucking ground is coming, you know? And I'm like, I can't do it. And he fucking says, you do it or we are going to fucking die. And I fucking did it. I like found it, and I pulled these fucking toggles down, and then we were still going pretty fast. And then, I don't know, maybe 50 feet before we hit the ground, like something happened with the chute. It, like, some part of it popped out, and there was like kind of a gust of wind, and we fucking like skipped off the ground a couple, 3-4 times. And he was trying to time it, and then he cut away, and it wasn't great. We were like 15 feet off the ground, and he cut, and then boom, and then we fucking drove into the ground.
Oh, jeez.
Wow. Didn't break a bone.
Wow.
I was literally a solid bruise from head to toe, but like I didn't break a bone, didn't get a concussion. I was totally fine. There's actually a videotape of this, which I think I have. It in my possession. That from Damon Kaler's camera, and it goes like this. He's like watching us, and he goes, okay, I wish I could remember his girlfriend's name, but
Was Damon Kaler a local guy?
yeah, he was an eclectic cafe bumpkin.
Was his mom a teacher?
Yes, yep.
I had a class
What's her
with
name?
her, Pam.
Pam Kaler, yeah.
She was an excellent teacher.
Yeah, was she? I don't know. Oh no, she was a bitch. I don't know.
No, she was fucking horrible. She shouldn't have, like.
I could see that.
I took a class with her the year before she was going on a like long sabbatical, and she was probably a good teacher and maybe just checked out or whatever. But I know, like,
I just remember she was kind of crazy. That's all I know. But.
Well, she was an old hippie.
Yeah,
big,
definitely
big
an old
lady.
hippie.
Sorry, now I'm telling a story in the middle of your story.
Yeah, we'll just
like
continue.
But my final paper that I turned in, I found out that this is how I found out she didn't read a fucking thing that I wrote all semester. Because my final paper, she called me into her office, and she was like shaking and accused me of plagiarizing my paper. And she picked out one part, and she's like, especially this. And she reads back to me a part that I'd written about an experience that I had in a class, and she's like, you didn't write this. She's like, I've written professionally. This is professional writing. And I'm like, that happened in Herbal Little's class. His fucking office is next door. Should I go get him? I'm like, let's keep fucking talking about this.
Wow.
So basically, you're just too good of a writer, is what you're saying.
Well, I mean, I was really proud of the paper. You know, like every once in a while.
You are a fantastic writer.
But so she didn't want to do that. And at the end, in the end, she was satisfied that I had actually written that paper, and I got a C on it.
Oh, good.
And I'm like, well, you know why I got a fucking C? I'll tell you why I got a C. This is professional writing. Yeah. Why did I get a C? Because she made a fucking ass of herself, and she was a garbage fucking teacher.
Well, what I will say about Damon is he was a horseshit videographer. So he's filming. We jumped, and he says, "Okay, I'm just gonna call her Ella." And so there's Ella, And oh, okay. And, oh, there's Matt. He looks like he's in trouble. And I'm fucking zipping around in a fucking circle up there. And then he goes back to his girlfriend, right?
At least she's in
She
trouble.
seems like she's going to live. And then he comes back to me, and I'm on the ground.
Oh, missed that whole thing.
It was like so fast. So if you jump, I can't remember exactly what the numbers are anymore, but if you jump out of the airplane and you don't pull your chute, I think it's 45 seconds. Like, you hit the ground.
Wow.
And we were only up there like a minute and 10 seconds. I mean, it was not very fucking long from fucking airplane to ground, right? Scary as fuck. So anyway, we hit the ground. I'm still strapped to him, you know, and we're like in like a little furrow, like, cause we drove into the ground.
More than the video, I kind of want the audio from you guys like
Yeah.
skipping across the. Oh, we're gonna die. Oh, we're gonna live.
It would be so,
oh, maybe we're gonna die.
It would be so great. Like now everybody's got like fucking GoPros and shit. Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't this be something to have on GoPro? And so he's like laying on top of me, you know, and I'm like drove into the ground, and he starts so he unstraps me.
That just brought a cartoon to my mind.
And he like jumps up. He's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I jump up. I'm like, "I'm okay. I'm fucking okay." And then I just jump on him like. And like I hug him with my legs wrapped around, and I'm just like a little. And I go, "I fucking love you, man." So then we go back to the hangar, and we're like all like talking about it. Everybody's super excited, and this is what I really want. Is I want the video of me telling everybody what happened afterward, because I am so fucking excited and so animated. And I was like, this is the best fucking experience. This was the best fucking experience of my life, you know? Because it's so, like, I got so close to fucking... So my friend Eric said, that's the best possible ride you could have without dying.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, it's fucking so cool. So we come back. So I get back to Brainerd. And by the time I get back, I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sore.
I would have thrown up eventually.
I don't remember throwing up.
Was
but-
the thinking about it later hard? That traumatic?
So like I get back to Brainerd and I'm super excited still, but I'm like, oh, my body hurts pretty bad. I get back and I kind of start telling the story, but then I'm like, I don't feel good anymore, you know, like it's not like the kind. And then I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna go to sleep. I go to sleep, and by the time I wake up, I'm just a solid black and blue, and I'm like, whatever. And the entire night I am just falling and waking and falling and waking and falling and waking, and like it was not good. I've definitely had a trauma response.
Oh, yeah.
I know exactly that's exactly what it is. I only understand that now. And then like the next day, my buddy Eric gives me a call, and he's like, dude, we're planning our next trip. Are you in? And I was like, now this is back in the day, so I'm like, I'm at my desk with a fucking phone, you know, and I'm like, fucking right, man, I'm in. I can't fucking wait. Let's fucking do it, right? And I hang up the phone, and I realize I'm fucking shaking like a leaf.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
That would be so hard to go
and then
again.
I fucking picked it up, and I called him back, and I go, I'm out. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, I can't do it. I'm really afraid. And he goes, but dude, you like came as close to dying as you possibly could, and you lived. And I was like, exactly. I'm out.
Click. Did you just say click?
That would be so hard to do that again.
So then from that point forward, like I have, for my entire life, I've been like the guy you could send up to fucking, I don't know. When I was really little, like on the farm, 5-6 years old, and I wanted to like get away from everybody, I would like climb the silo, you know, because we lived on the farm. I climbed the silo and hang out on the silo, which I don't know how high that is,
70
feet, 70, 80 feet.
something like that.
And I would just sit up there on the silo, like I've never been afraid of heights, nothing. I had a hard time climbing a fucking ladder after that.
Wow.
Right? Like I'd go up to go to paint, and I would realize that I was fucking shaking. And I'm like, oh my God. Like this is, now I have come pretty far since then. I can go, but like at our house, we have a piece of trim that is off on we live in this giant fucking house. It's like a mansion, but it's really old.
Like fucking. What is that place? Like 4,000 square feet, 4,500 square feet.
I don't even know. We after the podcast when John Howard was over, because John also owns a really old Brainerd house. We went and kind of did the tour or whatever. And he's like, "How many fucking bedrooms is this?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know."
That thing is just
9,
an ungodly
10?
huge fucking.
It's giant.
9. Wow.
Well, it depends on how you slice bedrooms, but there's at least 8 solid bedrooms. But like you could like really say maybe as much as 12. I mean, like, you know.
But the
depends on how
fact that
slice
you
bedrooms.
had to say, I don't know, that's the big house.
It's a big fucking house.
Because I don't have to say that. I'm like,
but it
3.
needs a lot of. But it needs, you know, it's an old house, and you know.
Right.
So, we lost a piece of trim, and it's like 4,000 feet in the air. It's like this, and Meta is always like we really got to. I said, you really got to hire somebody to put that trim on there, and she's like, yeah, but you could. Fuck you. No, absolutely not. She's like, I have a guy that has. I'm like, I am not climbing a fucking ladder. It is literally 4,000 feet up in the air. You absolutely not.
And it's windy.
And and then I'm like, well, maybe I could get some scaffolding. Fuck it, I can't do it. Like I like look up there and go, 0 chance. There is 0 chance I'm fucking going up there.
Right.
Which is so unlike me from before. But yeah, it's really weird. And then, you know, I probably had those dreams for maybe, you know, 6 months after that, and you know, so there's my like itty bitty tiny little like.
No, that's huge.
But it's exactly this. But even though it's so much less than this, it's still the same mechanism.
Mentally, I think it's more.
No, dude.
Yeah. No, mine is more physical and emotional and all the other, whatever you want to call them. But that is a very traumatic.
Well, it was. I mean, it was like. It's interesting because at the time, I didn't feel like it was a traumatic event at all. I was fucking exhilarated.
Right.
But on the other side of it, it's like, I don't know. It's a weird one.
It is.
I also, one more other tiny thing, and we talked about this when PJ is on, and he made fun of me for fucking ever. But I got chewed up by my dog when I was like 20 years old. I had 2 dogs that got into it, and I split them apart. And my one dog, which was a chow, he was only like 45 pounds, but he like kind of went ballistic and tried to fucking kill me. And he just bit the fucking shit out of me. And ever since then, I've had a really hard time approaching dogs. It takes me, and so it's always that trauma response. That like, you know, I know logically there's no reason that this dog's going to like come after me, but logic has nothing to do with it. Right. So
Yeah, that trauma thing, that's a weird thing.
yeah,
You know, I spent a lot of time sitting in a chair talking to a head doctor, and it's interesting the things that how your brain works and how it deals with us. And it's cool when you got somebody who's super smart, you know, psychologists that kind of can see into that, and even how you kind of go, you mess with yourself in a way, because like, for example, I don't know how it fully relates, but anyways, so for the longest time I had such a hard time being in public with this thing, because I'm like, oh, everybody always sees and this, and then all of a sudden, after I'd been going for a while, we were talking one day, and I said, you know, things have gotten a lot better. I said, people don't really notice it even that much. She goes, so what changed? Did they change or did you?
Right.
Damn it.
right. Well, I mean, 100%.
But you don't even realize it. I'm like, oh my God, people don't care anymore because they've gotten used to it. And they're like, no.
Yeah,
You
because that person
stopped caring so much.
who's never seen you before,
Changed,
they've gotten used to your eye patch.
But until it was so stupidly obvious, but it wasn't until they pointed it out. And I'm like, God dang it. That's why you have to have a psychologist.
Yeah. No,
Well,
I think it's important.
yeah.
This is a completely weirdly random question, but do you have any experience with hallucinogenics?
No. See, I grew up a very sheltered. The first time I got drunk, I was 20.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
I was 9.
And here's an interesting. I played in a band for 20 years.
I do
too.
want to talk about the band a little bit too. Yes.
And still never any of that. Just
Well,
It's like-
it's okay. I'm not judging you because
I've
had very, very minimal hallucinogenic experiences. I think I had mentioned earlier that when I was like 15 at BIR during the 1987 infamous wet T-shirt contest. I think I had a hallucinogenic experience partying with a bunch of bikers, but that was totally not like a willing thing, right? And then I was like, I had no desire, and that was not a pleasant experience, by the way. So I had no desire to do that. But I don't know even how long ago it was now. 3 or 4 years ago, I had a DMT experience, which is, it's like, hey, I'm a complete hallucinogenic virgin. I'm just gonna do the most extreme hallucinogen on Earth. DMT, which is, it's a really interesting. Drug's not even the right word. But you don't stay in your body. You blast off to another universe and then come back.
Wow.
And it's short. It was like 15 minutes, and then and then you're done.
Wow.
Well, you're not exactly done. You're changed.
Which is nice. Which is nice. Like
your hallucination is over, but you're never done.
Yeah. Because like one of the things about like acid and mushrooms and shit like that, like every once in a while, like most of the time you don't want it to end. But when you do want it to end and you've still got like a good solid fucking 6 hours left or something, it can bum you out, like I want to stop this ride. I want to get off.
The only thing about
you're in for the duration.
So, but remember when you were talking about how like when the pain was so severe, and if you have to count every second of every minute of every that like is an eternity. So that's the whole thing about DMT is it's short lived, but if it's not good, well, it's an eternity. You actually went to another universe, and you have to spend an eternity. I mean, it's a whole lifetime. You ever remember? Are you a Star Trek fan?
Yeah.
Of the Next Generation.
Yep.
Do you remember Next Generation?
Yeah.
Star Trek? Yeah. You remember the one where Picard like ended up like doing something, and he had a whole life. He like had a wife and kids and whatever, and.
I don't know if I
not
remember
vividly, but I do kind of remember it.
I don't remember much of the details on it, but then he comes back and he was like, I had this whole life and da-da-da-da-da, right? That's fucking DMT. Like, it only took a minute, but holy shit. Like, it was a
really
lifetime.
slow.
It was a lifetime experience. Yeah. Okay, why are we talking about DMT? Oh, I remember why. Because there is some really good research out there suggesting that a psilocybin can be used in combination with therapy to really to help people with trauma. And the thing is that when you have a trauma pattern, like it's weird, but it literally like stamps a pattern onto your brain. And that pattern is not necessarily permanent until it gets like smashed in. So like childhood trauma, let's just use the example of a kid who is like physically abused, right? For an extended period of time, they're fucked. Like that, they have a trauma pattern on their brain, and that trauma, you can't change the pattern,
right?
Or at least they didn't think you could change the pattern. Now they're finding out that with the use of hallucinogenics and therapy, they're able to actually like rewrite the pattern.
Did you ever see any of the interviews with like they used to treat like experimentally they treated alcoholism with LSD.
They are like that was in like in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, right?
Like the video that I saw from back then was black and white.
So they are they are now again that is starting again. They're doing trials
because these guys, like they would like talk to them, and these guys would like fucking break down, and like
they're
confronted with like the damage they were doing to their lives and shit like that. And man, and they interviewed, and I watched a couple of interviews with these guys who are like who are old timers at this point, and they were like, I haven't touched a drop. Thank God for LSD, and I'm just like,
we are.
But I mean, I knew that you could use it like that.
Yeah, they are using. They are having some serious success with fucking heroin addicts and LSD, which is fucking amazing because heroin is the weirdest. Opioids are the weirdest drug out there because the thing is that you have everybody has an opioid receptor, and once that receptor is full, it's full, right? So like heroin addicts don't. They have to do heroin just to get to normal. Like that's, you know what I mean? So the high it's not about being high. It's about not being high. For very, like that's the problem with heroin. And there's never been much of a solution other than filling that opioid receptor with something else, right? So they have those drugs. I can't remember what they're called, but they basically
like methadone and stuff.
Methadone's not a good example. There's another one though that is a good example. It's an opioid that essentially does not get you high, but it
just
would
gets you
get
level?
It would get us high, right? But we're not addicts. But a heroin
As
addict,
far as you know.
well, we are not heroin addicts.
We are not.
I am 100% sure with that glorious body, you are not a heroin
I
addict.
may be a sugar addict.
But they can.
Just mainline some fucking peanut M&Ms in the car before I came in.
They have this. Doctors will prescribe this opioid that won't get a heroin addict high, but it fills that opioid receptor. So then they could go shoot heroin and it wouldn't do anything to them. It might kill them, but it's not going to. It's not going to.
But
get
nothing
them
bad.
Well, it's not going to get them high.
No adverse side effects.
Well, it's just not going to get them high.
Sure.
That's the point. So
So then do they stop using it because it doesn't do anything? Is that the
right, because
concept behind it?
Well, actually, the thing is though, is it's not even that because once the desire to shoot heroin, nobody shoots heroin because it tastes good,
Right.
right?
Yep.
No, I mean like, hey, I like to drink because beer tastes good, like, right? Now, if some people but nobody does that. Nobody's like, God, I just fucking love the way it feels when I shoot that needle in my arm. Nobody is. Hey, get a tattoo, bitch. I mean, there's a lot of ways to feel that pain. So people use heroin, or when people use heroin, they have it. The desire to use heroin is because that opioid receptor is not full. Gotcha. Once you fill the opioid receptor, the desire to use heroin, it goes away.
Wow.
Which, it's super interesting. Why the fuck are we talking about this?
I don't know.
We're spitballing.
because we just picked up some heroin before the show, and
I haven't shot smack in forever. I've never shot smack.
trauma patterns and stuff
Oh,
like
yeah,
that.
trauma
You know,
patterns.
that's
Yes.
where-
Anyway, it might be something, and I mean, I don't know, Steve. I feel like you are doing just fucking fine. But
I've come a long ways.
you have, yeah. It is interesting though, because I've known you pre and post this experience, and I never seen, but I mean, I do see you mostly in a social setting, in a bar, also when there's cocktails involved. So, but I never was like, boy, that really fucked with him. I was like, dude, that bitch takes that in stride.
It's almost worse when it's that way because everyone's like, oh, it doesn't faze him a bit. It's good. It's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's like you want to project that and you want people to feel that, but you're also then hiding and you can't even really talk about it because then everything's you're good. So then it's like, oh, no problem. Then you can just go off and have it's not that bad. You're really cool. You're a pirate. You don't realize what's going on inside.
Yeah.
And then I got to go work that out and come back. And
I mean, at first,
but it's getting to the point now
accident-
where it's not near the same as it was before, obviously. And especially, I like to keep in, again, like I think I talked about this before, but I like to be around people I see a lot, and I get comfortable with the crowd. I have a problem going where I'm not comfortable.
Well, yes. And like I remember shortly after the event, you when you still had no idea whether or not you were going to be able to, and I mean, I know you still to this day don't know if you're going to be able to ever get your vision back, but you were seriously thinking you might lose your eye completely.
Right. Yep.
And you were like, yeah, this fucking sucks.
Because that's permanent. Once they take it, you're done.
Yeah.
If they pluck that thing out, then there's zero chance you're ever going to see. So as long as, and that's the really hardest part for the longest
you get to
time.
have an empty eye socket, which is so cool.
What's weird is you ride this thing, and actually I was concerned what was going to happen when I stopped having surgery, because as long as you're having surgery, there's always that chance out in the distance. There's the light at the end that we're working towards, and these are just steps that we're continuing to go towards that. And as soon as they say, okay, we're done, my biggest fear was, what if I don't like it? Because every time they do another surgery, I'm like, okay, they're getting it a little better, it's looking a little nicer. And I told my psychologist this. I said, I'm concerned with when they say, okay, we're done, and I look in the mirror and go, that sucks. And that's what I get now forever. As long as I've got another surgery on the books, I know it could probably get better. And I always keep thinking, And that was another hard thing about just this last year, because having the last surgery and then when she said, well, what do you want to do? I'm not going to do it anymore. And in a way, you're kind of relieved because I don't want to have surgery. But on the other side, you're like, well, shit, this is how it's going to be now. And this is how it's going to look. And you just have to kind of come to terms with that. Is that okay? And she goes, if you want to keep trying, we can do that. So now it's on me, which I don't know. Am I okay with it? Because Deb will always say, oh, it doesn't look that bad. It looks so good. It looks so good. Yeah, look, if you saw it when it happened and you saw it now, it looks really good.
Yeah. I mean,
but
I never saw it. Well, honestly, I've never seen it at all, but other than like just the rest of your face. But but I mean, yeah, it definitely has.
It's never going to be good enough for anybody, and just for anything. If it's you, it's not how it was before. It's not good. And other people's perception of, and that's the hardest thing to get around, is like other people don't care so much. There's so many people that have it. Again, I keep going back to there's so many people that have it worse.
For sure.
You just got to deal with it. And I'm like, okay, can I do it? But now this has become my crutch, right? So my patch became my crutch. So now when we talked about the whole prosthetic thing, that's another, do I move from one crutch to the other? And if I ever want to take the patch off, it's a transition. It's a significant transition to go from nothing to a patch, and now to go to a patch to a prosthetic or a patch to no patch is another huge step. And you got to do that whole thing all over mentally again to get to the point where you can be comfortable with it.
I get the idea of why a prosthetic would be comforting or whatever, but it's not cool.
And I have a problem with it too, because I look at it and I'm like, okay, as long as I'm looking straight ahead, it kind of looks decent. But now I'm like, I don't want to have that big old I'd rather have it just this, because people know, versus them going, something doesn't seem right. And I think you mentioned that before, but then they're staring at you going, right, what the hell is wrong with you? Yeah.
That's true, because like,
there's no question.
Yeah, if somebody's got a patch, you're like, okay, it's a patch.
Yep.
If somebody if somebody has like a jacked up eye, like we've seen fucking a million times, then you're like,
yeah, which one's moving, which one's not. Yeah.
Fucking.
So do you want to go through that? I'm like, oh god, I don't want to deal with that. You get used to it, you get comfortable with it. I don't want to change. And
that actually reminded me of Moana. Pick one.
What? I don't know.
Oh, there's a big crustacean, a giant crab or whatever that they have to go see. And
what are we talking about?
Moana.
What is that?
It's a
cartoon. Disney cartoon.
Okay. I probably didn't watch it because I would have cried.
Because he's a crab, so his eyes, like they're on fucking stalks and shit. Right. They don't look the same way. And he's talking to the girl, and he's like, "Good, pick one. It's distracting."
She's like looking back and forth at each eye. Pick one.
You fuckers. So you obviously
it's a pretty good movie. Really.
Milo,
it actually
and then
is.
You have what, 5 grandchildren?
6 now.
6 grandchildren.
Yep.
And so obviously you guys are all up on your children. Movies. So I think I was telling this story the other day, but like all the kids. All the Metis kids always want to like come down to my room and watch like fucking like a show, because I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I don't even have the biggest television. Like my system's shitty compared to like, I mean, they got fucking like.
But how big the TV is relative to like where they're sitting, because like,
I got a super comfortable bed.
Yeah.
And, so they always want to come down, and plus I make the best popcorn. So. And there was this movie, and I can't remember what the fuck it was called, but it was a Pixar movie, and it was about the two brothers. They were like trolls or fucking something, and and it was cute as shit.
Was it Bright or something like that?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
The older brother had the van.
Yeah,
who's a big Dungeons and Dragons nerd.
Yeah. Anyway, it was cute as shit. And we're like, getting toward the end of it or whatever.
Oh, not Bright. That's that Will Smith.
Yeah, that was Will Smith, which I liked that one too, but it doesn't matter what it was called.
Yeah.
It was a fucking movie. And we're getting toward the end of it, and London, I think it was, looked over at me and she goes, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "Yes, I'm fucking crying." Why aren't you crying? That's the real question. And then everybody's
I'm not
looking
crying,
at me.
you're crying.
Everybody's looking at me. And I was like, you all are a bunch of sociopaths. Like, seriously. Like, this is a fucking sad movie. So, yeah. They're a bunch of sociopaths. They're no longer allowed in my room.
Well, that's like the Fox and the Hound test,
Right. It's like a litmus test. Like, are you sensitive
there's,
enough?
Well, there's certain movies out there, like, remember we talked about... what was that movie with Jake Gyllenhaal? Not Jake Gyllenhaal. With the heroin addicts.
Fuck me. Requiem for a Dream.
Requiem for a Dream.
Fuck
Yeah.
that, like,
Well, like if you meet somebody who tells you that Requiem for a Dream is their favorite movie,
run.
Run away from that person.
It's the worst movie ever. It's this fucking
it's dreary and
ridiculous,
sad and fucking
horrible movie about this like heroin addict who fucking like, I don't know, fucking
It's just
like,
life. He steals from his like half
fucking-
crazy mother and
his fucking
whatever.
arm rots off and
Yeah,
shit. His girlfriend does like
jeez.
ass to ass at a fun
Yeah,
fucking
she
party.
went. She went up hooking and shit. It's just this miserable,
horrible. And it like was like critically acclaimed and like won an Academy Award or something.
Yeah,
shit.
people
I'm just
love
like,
that shit, and I'm like,
have you ever met people
you know,
like that?
actually, a lot of people have seen it. I've never seen anybody be like, "No, I love that movie," because I'd be like, "Stay the fuck
What
away
the
from
fuck
me,
is wrong with
weirdo." You know, like
that we were talking about. So let's talk about shows. We're probably done with serious shit, right? Anybody
sure,
want to
sure.
cry real quick? Nope, no, we're good. Cry, little cry. I mean, one eye cry.
if I want to cry, I just
Speaking of which, so we get this weird. My neighbor the other day. It's pretty funny. He's super. When we told him a story about the little girl in the store going, "Aye, matey, whatever." And he's like, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, he goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. You only had he
Yep.
so past the whole
totally
thing."
over it.
But the other day we were out Sunday in the yard looking at stuff, and I was helping him, so I pointed something out, and he goes, he stops and smiles, looks at me, he goes, "Good eye." No, so like that was pretty funny actually.
So I want to make it. So Meta and I have like this cricket. So she made me this T-shirt for whatever it was. I don't know what it was for. Oh, Father's Day, and it says, what does it say? Something.
Sawdust is just man glitter.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, just man glitter. I want to make you one. I'm going to make you one. It's going to say, "In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king."
There you go.
It's a great
That's
line.
really cool.
Yeah, it's. I can't remember what it's from. I got that from a fucking Tom Waits song, but it's an older saying than that. But yes,
That would be
Yes.
kind of cool, actually.
maybe even embroidered on an eye patch.
It's too much because then people would be like,
Yeah, like
Just
I would
gawking at
rather.
ya.
Yeah, they're like, "What the fuck are you looking at?"
Right.
Trying to read your eye patch, bitch.
There was a guy that online that had
if you didn't want me to stare at your tits, why did you write it across your tits?
right.
"Fair."
We did, the guy on like Facebook just happened to stumble across, going, "Oh, hey, you got a patch too?" One of those things, and he's got a shotgun shell, like the end of it embedded right into his patch. That's kind of cool.
I like that. Like
Like where the
Yeah.
primer and stuff is. Yeah.
Like I said, I would make up so many like
Oh,
bullshit
dude.
stories.
So, like-
just for when people ask me, I'd be like, "It's a freak accident at a strip club,"
You have-
and then just let them.
You have one
Let 'em
primary.
go with that.
Oh yeah,
Super sharp glitter. Yeah.
It's a fake boob, pointy nipple.
So
It was an accident.
So this is a weird story, but my brother, who I hardly ever talk about on the show, when he was like 5 years old, he got ran over by a lawnmower. Yeah, it's a horrible time to laugh. No, but it's seriously like it's a fucking crazy story. But my aunt. I don't know why I'm laughing.
He can't stop laughing about the time his brother got ran over by the lawnmower.
Were you driving?
There's actually like a song. No, he's my older brother. I was a child.
Oh, gotcha.
Or I don't even know if I was born 5. Yeah, I may have been like a baby. My aunt was driving this lawnmower out at my grandfather's house. Big fucking riding lawnmower. And so stupid. All the children were feeding her Dorito chips. So they were like jumping up on the fucking mower deck and feeding her potato chips. And it was kind of like this fun game. You know,
what could possibly go wrong?
Was she a big lady?
my aunt? Nah, she was. I mean, like at the time, I have no idea.
I've just got this
She
mental
was-
image now of like her fucking driving on.
Yeah, like Jabba the
More
Hutt.
chips.
No, she was wonderful. She's very wonderful. Linda, she's great. Well, lo and behold, something went wrong, and my brother like fell off the fucking lawnmower, and my aunt ran him over and cut his leg on the lawnmower, and it was bad. I mean, it was really bad. Like he lost most of the. I mean, he basically fucked his leg up pretty bad. Lots of surgeries, but he has like this. He doesn't have like a calf. You know, like his whole leg is. Most of his leg is gone. You know, up on his lower calf, but he can totally walk fine. You absolutely cannot tell when he
Has jeans
he
on?
wears
Yeah.
jeans or whatever. And
But his career as a leg model was over at that point.
see, now, in my opinion, his career as a leg model just got the biggest fucking bump in ratings it could possibly get. So
He could be the after guy. Yeah.
what's that?
The after guy.
I don't know what after guy is.
Before
and
Oh
after.
yeah, you'd be the after guy. Yes, very good, very good. Yeah, for when you want to take the pounds off the calves. But he, so he has this crazy scar, and he has. I mean, he 18 surgeries, and like his whole life has been, whatever. But he's super self-conscious about it.
Oh, totally get it.
I don't get it at all. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
I would only wear shorts. And I would have at least 73 stories about how it happened. And none of them would involve Dorito chips and an aunt on a lawnmower.
But 15 of them would involve a shark.
All shark.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's
shark.
a good point.
It looks like a fucking shark bite. There's even like teeth marks and shit. Right. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Well, when I was a pro surfer, I'd be,
That's why I moved to Minnesota. No
yeah.
sharks.
So I was at the strip club. I mean, like, I can't even imagine how many stories I would come up with as to it. And I would never wear pants. I'd be like, it's 40 below. Fuck it, I'm not putting pants on.
See, that level of confidence that you've got is
Retarded.
no, it's good.
No, it's actually probably
No,
retarded.
because see, for me, it's cool when you get into the story. Once you start talking, what about all the people that look at you that you don't actually talk to that are thinking stuff?
I would
See,
also
that's the
get
stuff that gets in my
really
head.
good at a roundhouse kick with my gimp leg. Because there's nothing worse. There's nothing
Just
worse.
flip that thing out
There's
there.
nothing worse than getting fucking kicked in the face with a gimp leg.
It's like like a wet noodle.
And then when your buddies go, "Who did it to you?" I'm like, "That guy." Like that guy with that fucking
Seriously? Like, and then as soon as the cops come over, you'd just be like limping. Like,
How could I have done it?
I couldn't have done it. I'm recovering from my shark bite. My aunt ran me
Like
over.
when you get bit by
'cause
your
she
dog
didn't-
and it's just that little dog. Like seriously, you got to make it into a story about a big dog that gets you.
Yeah,
True.
the weird thing is that
Or a pack of them.
The weird thing is I actually typically tell the truth. Like
Right.
I typically.
That's a good thing.
Unless I have a giant shark bite on my leg, then I mean, But the thing is you're right. Like I do have this overabundance of
Confidence, too.
Confidence.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle is exactly the same way. It's just like.
Not really.
Yes, you are.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Sometimes I just shoot for the stars.
Okay, so but we were talking about TV shows. Oh yeah, okay. So like, I'm always desperately looking for the next series, TV show, whatever. What are you and Deb watching?
Right now, though, not a lot. It's busy time, right? So it's
Oh, it's
summertime,
summer,
being outside.
and you love
yeah.
being on the pontoon.
Yeah, going outside and doing
Hey,
stuff.
did you get your sea legs?
No. Well,
Do you even know what we're talking about? I didn't know anything about.
I know
this.
what sea legs are,
the
but
reason
Wait,
he
What
does-
are sea legs?
it's like your equilibrium while you're on the boat.
That's a niner. So, Steve. and
that's
Deb-
one version,
Steve and
yeah.
Deb have this really awesome pontoon, and they were like, they're always going on the pontoon, and then they go and they like want to anchor and like hang out.
The sandbars.
And then Steve's like, yeah, we really got to get our sea legs, and I was like, like,
Thinking about it now, like
A pirate?
probably sounded really weird.
right? Because I'm like, pirates have sea legs. You're a pirate. Like, can you see? And then, so what are sea legs?
These arms that basically mount up underneath your pontoon and go down, and they'll actually lift the thing up out of the water
Oh.
in like 5 or 6 feet of water, about up to that.
Now, can you get really like dope ass ones that like will like walk on the shore?
Almost.
So much alike. I was like, I wonder if we could make them walk.
Right? Because like they wouldn't necessarily have to go back and forth. You could get ones that would go like all the way and just like flip over.
And it would be best if you could get 8 of them so it looked like a spider.
Right.
Yeah. That would be the best.
No, but because
no,
of COVID,
it was-
it's because of COVID.
I know,
so
I
they
know,
don't
yeah,
have the
they-
pumps that they need to run the hydraulics for it, I guess. So it's been delayed like a month so far trying to get it. And pretty soon summer will be done and we won't have them.
That reminds me, I think the ammo shortage is kind of starting to come to an end.
Really?
So
That's good.
I just found out about the car. Like, I didn't realize that, like, that there's a car shortage.
The computer chip problem, yeah.
Yeah, were we talking about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what? So like right now, used cars are really fucking expensive.
Yep.
And there
Yeah.
just aren't any
and
new
hard
cars
to find.
buy.
That's did I talk to you about that? Because when we went and bought that Christine's Pilot, of course I called Coop, and he's like, he's like, yeah, buddy. He's like, come in on Monday. Well, let me see what I got. And he's like, no shit. I got off the phone with you, and I was like, fuck, I got nothing. Because like they're just, and I mean, really, when you drive through a lot of these lots, you can see the shelves are fucking bare.
Yeah.
Deb works at the Power Lodge too, and they got nothing. I mean,
So what happened? Explain why we have it.
the computer one. I mean, the car problem is a computer chip problem, right? So all these the cars are getting so much smarter, and they get these little computer chips that they use to control all that. Well, the way I heard it explained is they do the just-in-time type stuff. So they're making just enough chips to support the new vehicles that are being manufactured. Well, when everything got shut down, there's no inventory. It's just like they make them, they ship them. So there's never a bulk of them sitting on the shelf ready to go.
Right.
So when they stop, all of a sudden there's none when they're ready to start ramping up the cars again. And this is somewhere else. You know, they're making these computer chips. They didn't get started back up as fast. So now all these cars got built. So they got tons and tons of cars sitting there
With
waiting
no
for
fucking
these
chips.
computer chips.
Man.
So because of that, they can't sell them obviously until these chips come in.
And so then there's so few new cars available that there's
A glut
it's
on
driving
used
the
cars.
value of the used cars
it's
way
driving the values of the used cars way up.
But they expect, within next few months, it's going to start to flip.
somebody
and it's going to catch
somebody
back
was
up
telling me
again.
about trading their truck in. What's that? I like
No,
do you
yeah,
remember
right
that
now,
conversation?
People
Yeah, so
are
I've
getting. Yeah, go ahead.
So I've got a truck that's we
It was
leased
you.
it.
Jesus, this is really weird, Steve, because I
I
actually
know.
could
All
have
these
no
things.
idea what we were. I have no memory that it was you I was talking to about this. It's so weird. But go ahead.
My truck lease is coming up, and we thought about just buy it because we love the truck. But I did the book value on it. So my buyout on my lease is actually $10,000 less than the book value says my trade-in value is.
Say that
Because-
one more time.
So the trade-in value of my truck is $10,000 higher than the buyout at the end of my lease. So the way a lease works is I go, okay, when this truck is 3 years old, it's going to be worth this much money. So you basically pay the difference. You're buying it you're paying the depreciation, right?
Okay, so you're like paying.
So
Like,
they guess is at the end of the lease, your value is going to be about here. And if it's off, it's the other way around.
give me numbers. So at the end
So
of the
let's
lease,
say-
it would be
Like $30,000.
okay.
So I can buy it for $30,000, or I can just give it back.
Okay.
Right? So if the value of it's $20,000 and the buyout's $30,000, I'm gonna say no, you keep it.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
And then you're good. But when it's the other way around,
So the value of the truck is $30,000, but the trade-in value is $40,000.
the buyout cost is $30,000.
Yep.
But the trade-in value or the resale value is over $40,000.
We'll fucking buy it and sell it.
Right, or
Like,
just keep it.
in-
Because
sell it.
in another 6 months, it might flip the other way, and it might not be. As soon as the chips get caught up,
Right.
it's
That's
no
why you
longer
need to
gonna have
buy it
stuff.
and sell it, and then fucking
but yeah,
Then
my,
have nothing
take
because
an
there's no more new
Uber.
ones out there.
Take an Uber. Hey, I gotta.
That's
I
just
gotta
like the
work
housing
from-
thing.
I
Where
gotta-
everybody's like, I'm gonna sell my house. I'm gonna rent.
I
And you're
gotta-
like,
I gotta
okay, you sell your
badass-
house, and then you're like,
I got a
Where the fuck
badass
am I
Land
gonna rent?
Rover.
Right.
I'll sell you for $10,000.
But my buddy Jeremy Dahl that I talk about on the show all the time, he like his truck like has appreciated in value. I mean, which is fucking crazy when you think
It
about
is,
it.
yeah.
Because the reason like people like me that that always tell you shit like I will never buy a brand new car because you lose so much money just driving it off the lot and shit. And yet my one of my friends has been driving it around, and now it's worth
More than he paid
like
for it.
$8,000 more than when he paid for it or some shit like
Yeah,
that. I'm like,
okay.
how the fuck does that work?
But
That's amazing.
that is only true in this very special economy.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
bottom's gonna fall out on it.
All of
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Like I have actually switched. I think when we were talking about buying a house, not me, you and I, as domestic partners, but when you and Christine were talking about buying a
we
house,
make a cute couple. We do make a cute couple.
I
whatever,
was
we're
talking
all over
about
the place.
marrying John last week.
Yeah.
But if when we were talking about you guys buying a house, and I was kind of like saying, look, like yes, the prices are high, but the interest rate is really low right now, and you have to make a decision because you're going to be paying.
Yeah, and you got to
Okay.
base that on how long you're going to live in the house to
But
see if that
I feel like we have passed that point where now it actually doesn't make sense to buy a house anymore.
kind of
Because the prices have seriously gone retarded. Like to the point where I'm like, no. Like, so then that's a bubble. Like it cannot continue. So you cannot buy a house right now with the expectation of it having a greater value in 2 years, which is kind of what your goal is.
Right.
But it probably won't have a greater value in 10 years.
It'll be close, right? Yeah.
Right. So like, and then we're also in the middle, which I didn't really think about, but we're in the middle of a moratorium on evictions.
Oh,
right. So all of these places that potentially could either be for rent or for sale, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of inventory that's kind of hung up right now.
It's hung up. And now people who have been like desperate to get into a house, or like, so they're in an apartment and they want to buy a house because fuck, they're whatever. Now all of a sudden there's going to be this inventory opening up. People are going to go in, and then the demand for houses is going to drop. So it's like, fuck it, hold off, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
And you're
as
in
much
a
of a bummer.
situation where you already have a wonderful place.
Yeah,
that totally.
I was going to
works
say,
for you.
as much of a bummer as it is that that we got that we got like stuck, in this housing market. At least I've got that fucking enormous dope ass fucking apartment.
Right. They have a great apartment.
One of the things that's hurting us up in the Brainerd area right now, and our neighbor's a realtor, we talked about this quite a bit, is because of all the unrest and the shit going on in the cities, people are bailing out of the cities, right? So anybody up here and we got high-speed internet.
There's
up
unrest
here,
in the cities?
and with all the working from home.
Absolutely.
And with all the working from home options that COVID's really kind of driven in and showed people how easy it is to work from home. People are bailing and moving up here, so they're buying up inventory, but not creating inventory by selling from here. So so anything that's going on the market is just being consumed, but nothing's being made available.
So that's a regional issue.
Because if it's anywhere near a lake or near water, and you got high-speed internet, and you're within 2 hours of the cities, they're just coming up in droves. And she said that people are buying stuff, sight unseen,
but they're
not overbidding the prices.
And they're not even. Well, actually, we need to have Tina Anderson on, because I need to get my fucking mind around this, because there are so you put a house up, let's say it, and I mean, which is weird because we're not talking about a fucking lake home at this price, we're not talking, but I'm talking about you put a house up that's it's a modest 3-bedroom,
250.
Let's go 250.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not rich, right? Fuck, that's a lot of money. Okay, so. You got a modest house, $350,000. Is that what we said? $250,000, right? Mm-hmm. You put it up, and it goes on the MLS, and they appraise it, and it appraises at $250,000. And then people offer, so it sells for $275 or $300. Let's say $300. We'll round numbers. So we're talking about $50,000, right?
Overvalue.
Yep. Over appraised value.
Yep.
No bank finances.
Nope.
They
have that money to pay for that themselves.
Conventional loans, they'll pay 80% of appraised value. So you have to come up with 20%. So if there's
a lot of options, if you can get it down as low as 5%.
If you're PO folk, you might be able to do it through an FHA or but still, right, whatever. But nobody is going to lend over,
right?
Let's say 99% of appraisal. So where the fuck's the $50,000 coming from?
Their
Out of pocket?
Yes.
That is, who has $50,000 in their pocket?
There's a whole bunch of people that do. Unfortunately,
here's an insider trick.
Coming from, but the thing that's weird about that, Steve, is they're not buying $250,000 houses.
No, I know.
But every house, a $90,000 house, is going for
150. Yeah.
I talked a good friend of mine, Cole, who is an appraiser. We had a good talk the other day. Actually, super cool guy. I want to have him on the podcast. You know Cole? I have no idea what his last name is, so fuck it. But he's a cool guy.
Young guy?
I used to be a bartender at YG's. The reason I want to have him on though is because he used to be a fatty and he fucking looks cool. I mean, what I mean by
does he work on it? Does he build the and stuff?
He used to have a little extra. He was a fatty, and he lost a shit ton of weight. He's super healthy. Looks great. What did you ask? He used to work at YG's. That's how I met him.
I was going to say, there's here's an insider tip. You know what the market is actually waiting for before it comes back down to earth is it's waiting for me to actually spend that extra money and buy a house. Then the next day, the bubble will burst.
So
I did that in
Because-
2008. I
dude.
bought a house in 2008.
Because I am that guy that it could be raining titties and I walk outside and get hit with a dick. So like that is what the market is waiting for.
I totally did that.
All right, Ron Barons, that's the quote of the day.
That's awesome.
But Cole was saying that he's an appraiser, and he's like, I don't understand. He said, I actually don't really have an answer for how this is happening. Yes, there are plenty of people from the Metropolitan that are able to come up here and have $50,000 in the pocket, but that's not the.
That's true.
Like you guys were looking for houses in what range? Like
We were looking for like 180 to 250 and stuff.
right, 180 to 250.
Right in there.
So let's say max, you found a house, man, it's 245. You can afford it. Boom, you put in an offer for 245. Okay, actually, you need to pay.
Oh, yeah.
The appraisal is at 245.
Because what would happen was, we'd be like, okay, yeah, whatever, like asking price is not going to cut it, in this market.
So
and
and obviously, you and Christine have an extra $30,000 in your pocket.
right. Well, we thought, see, honestly, like we actually saved a lot, but we thought that we'd saved a lot, but then when you start talking about like the housing market right now, starting to feel a little inadequate like that. Maybe we didn't save that
Yes.
much because the $50,000. No, we didn't save $50,000.
Right.
We saved goddamn $15,000.
Right.
What the
and
fuck?
which is fucking good for you.
Right. That's I feel like that's fairly normal. But no, we weren't sitting on enough to fucking
Kyle,
boom.
that is not super normal. There are there's a very small percentage of Americans right now that actually even could spend $15,000, that have $15,000. That wasn't part of their actual what they need to live budget. So yeah, it's fucking crazy, and it's crazy. It's fucking crazy. It's a weird time.
It is.
Fuck yeah, it is.
Okay, what was the show that you and Deb turned me and Meta onto? I cannot remember.
Resident Alien.
Oh yes, that's right.
I just got back to that finally last night because I realized that I still had a bunch of episodes left.
Oh my god,
I'm only
That's
8
so
episodes
crazy.
in.
He's so weird because we devoured it. We
love that
devoured
show.
it like an alien.
So good.
It was so.
It was
good.
such a breath of fresh air because it didn't take the politically correct angles.
It took
and
no,
and it just was just
completely
funny.
out there.
It's just funny.
So funny. So it was weird because I watched Resident Alien, and then the very next show that I watched was Ted Lasso, and
Have you watched Ted Lasso yet?
I don't have Apple TVs.
Oh,
okay,
man.
so maybe wait because.
Season 2 starts on the 23rd
but you're
of July.
I know during summer you guys are really busy and blah 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 blah, but Meta and I just devoured Resident Alien. We fucking I almost pissed myself the first episode. It was super hilarious. I love that show. But then the very next show that we started was Ted Lasso, which was a recommendation from I think it was just from you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, everybody
I know. Yeah, we said it before.
I love the what's his name that's in that, Jason Sudeikis.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He writes the show and everything.
who I've never I had no idea. But
We're the Millers.
So
yeah.
so here's the deal. Here's the pitch, right? Hey, you really need to watch this show on Apple TV, a service you don't have, about a fucking football coach, a sport you don't care about, who goes to England and coaches a soccer team.
Another sport
Of
that you don't
which-
care about.
A sport you've never even seen.
Right.
I know more about Quidditch than I do about soccer. It's not a great sell.
No.
But Kyle literally begged me to watch it, and I was like, fuck, I guess I'll get Apple TV again. So I got Apple TV, watch it. It might be the best. It might be the best. I'm going to say this. It's the best half-hour television show series I've ever seen.
Yeah, it might be the best thing that I've seen since The Newsroom or Game of Thrones.
Hour-long newsroom's an hour long.
Yeah, but that best half-hour show I've seen since MASH.
Might be the best half-hour.
Unless it's better than
Better
MASH.
than
I don't
MASH.
know.
Anyway, it's wonderful. But I like guarantee it if you get that 7-day like free trial on Apple TV.
Oh yeah, easy to burn through.
Easy to burn yeah, but you might want to wait till the fall when you guys aren't so busy and get it. But yeah, it's wonderful.
There's
but I
a
am
few
really
different
excited
shows
about
on that. Isn't there one about a stewardess or something too? That's
I don't know about that. There, on Apple TV, there's the one. There's
the what is it? The morning show.
The morning
or whatever,
show,
which is great.
wonderful. That's a show about a morning show, like Good Morning America or whatever.
They talk about like the
Me Too movement thing,
yeah.
but they do it in such a great way.
Yeah, they're really cool about it. It's not preachy or fucking
you really
weird
like
or
him,
doesn't piss
like
me off.
because it's the guy from The Office, Stephen Carell.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a fucking amazing show. And then
and Jennifer Aniston.
Jennifer Aniston's in it.
The fucking cast is amazing.
did you just go?
She's the one. She's on my cheat sheet.
I think those are gross.
And who
She's
else?
the only
There's
one on there.
One other big
She's the only one on there. Yeah.
Jennifer Aniston and
Reese Witherspoon.
Reese Witherspoon. Yeah,
Yeah. Wonderful show.
I don't know how the fuck they got all those actors to be on.
I
that
just
goddamn
started
show.
a new. Their Apple TV.
Yeah, they've got all the money in the. Yeah. Well, then there's that great.
It's just like Ricky Gervais when he was like I don't even know if you watched it, but he was like doing the Golden Globes and he's like saying, "Oh yeah, and Apple TV has that new like show, like yeah," and everybody's clapping or whatever. He goes, "Yeah, you fucking people. If Al Qaeda like started a new TV channel, you guys would be updating your resume. What the fuck is wrong with you?" It was just amazing. But I just started a new series on Apple TV. And it's called
Is it
The Mosquito Coast, right?
How is Mosquito Coast?
Okay,
I've seen it on there,
never
but I
heard
thought
of
about it.
So do you guys remember The Mosquito Coast? It had Robin Williams and River Phoenix in it, and it was like a super, I don't know, it was a really interesting movie from like the early 90s maybe. Well, it's
No.
well, okay. Really?
Sorry.
No, I think it was kind of a blockbuster. I think I went and saw it in the fucking movie theater. Anyway, it is essentially the same story, but like a series exponentially better. It's really well acted. I don't think there's anybody in it I've ever seen before. I'm hooked. I don't want to tell you much about the premise other than it's because honestly, I was just telling Meta because she has this is one I'm watching by myself. I'm like, this fucking show is fucking me up. I'm like way in. I still have no idea what the fuck is going on, but it's super interesting. But it's basically about this guy who's on the run with his family. That's or he's in hiding, and then he has to go on the run with his family,
Right.
and it's pretty fucking good. I really like it. But
I,
but yeah, I want to thank you for Resident Alien because that was a fucking good one.
That is a fucking fun show. And what's it, Alan Tudyk or something is his name or whatever?
yeah.
And I found out he's done. He's a big voice actor. He shows up in a lot of like kids movies, a lot of cartoons and stuff like that. Not to mention he was in Firefly, which of course Matt's favorite all-time show. But nah, shit. What the? I know I can't think of which branch of all my. So Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Since you can subscribe to other like networks and shit like via Amazon, like through Amazon Prime,
Right.
I don't ever know what the fuck anything's on
Right.
anymore because now I watch everything through Amazon.
And
Prime.
I've been actually like buying shit. Like I just watched the last season 10 of The Walking Dead because I couldn't find it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I can get this. Fuck it. It was $20 on Amazon Prime. I mean, I spend $20 on fucking like stupid shit all the time. Like who cares?
Well, there's a pretty fucking good show called oh no, it left me.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for bringing
not
that
Hacks.
up.
Flack. It's called Flack. Starring the girl that played Sookie in.
I saw the preview for that or whatever. Is it good?
Yeah, it's actually pretty fucking good. They play like fixers. They're based out of London. She's an American, but they're based out of London. But they're like fixers for like high profile celebrities and shit, athletes and actors and shit, politicians and stuff. So I mean, it's pretty crazy shit. The shit that people get up to, and she's got some like her and her sister, like their mother killed herself, and the two sisters have issues, especially Sookie. Like it's a pretty wild show.
Every time you say that, it just reminds me of Brian Tuma.
It is fucking.
We gotta have
dog.
that bitch on. Yes. All right, we good?
Yeah,
Wrap her up?
yeah.
Sounds good.
My fat ass is killing me. I got to get out of this chair.
These chairs are not nearly as comfortable as the studio chairs. Well, thank you, Rob and Aaron, for having us down at 9th Street. Thanks, Steve, for fucking like being so open and vulnerable. It's fucking cool to have somebody just like, go down the rabbit hole with us, or the rabbit hole, as we like to call it.
Thanks for having me, though. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, man. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh yeah, hey, so the 4th of July is coming up. You might want to think just a tiny little bit about whether or not you want to.
Don't mess with fireworks.
Fucking A, are they dangerous? And I mean, this has been a fucking horrific couple of years for you, but this is not an uncommon
No, actually,
injury.
I think the day that it happened to me, there was 2 other ones in the state that ended up coming in.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's not an uncommon injury.
Yeah.
We're talking about explosives, and
Made in China.
It's pronounced Gina.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, it's Gina. I would like to apologize for Steve calling it China. It's Gina. But yeah, man, they're fucking dangerous, and that's why we wanted to have Steve. I've been thinking about having Steve on forever because I think he's an amazing human being. But it was like, I was like, fuck, we should do it, but right before 4th of July, so we kind of do it as a cautionary tale.
This is our safety episode.
Yeah. So this is a public service announcement.
Yes.
Hey, this one's free. We're not gonna put this behind the paywall.
Yep.
we don't have somebody was like, hey,
The only money involved is when we pay people to watch the fucking
actually
podcast.
Cole was like the guy I was just talking about he was like, he loves podcasts. He's like, dude, you really need to start a Patreon. I'm like, fuck that. We don't want a Patreon. We don't want to pay. I was like, and then somebody was asking us how much we were going to charge for our tour,
the walking tour.
And I'm like, I don't know. I think we'll give each person like $20.
Sweet.
We're so stupid about money.
That's stay poor, slow scheme.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, and we will see you guys real soon. That was a good one.
I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. You know I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town. I woke up this morning feeling so good, you know I laid back down again. Throw your big leg over me, mama, I just might not feel this good again. My baby, oh my baby, I love the way she walks. When my girl gets sleepy, I love the way she baby talks. My work done got scarce, honey. All my work, it done got hard. I spent the whole day stealing chickens, mama, from the rich folks' yard. Got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. Now I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town. I wanna go on a picnic in the country, mama, and stay all day. I don't care if I don't do nothing, just while my time away. I got the blues so bad one time it put my face in a permanent frown. You know I'm feeling so much better I could cakewalk into town.